Welcome to Bravo Team, our second G.I. Joe show looking at all the secondary G.I. Joe material. I am your host, Aaron Moss, codenamed Brotherhead. On this show, I'll either be by myself or have other guest hosts joining me, looking at all the G.I. Joe material out there. We'll be covering things like the toys, the Action Force comic, the European Missions comic, the movies, G.I. Joe Renegades, or anything else that is not G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero comic, or the 80s cartoon. Come, join us on our mission to stop Cobra from taking over the world. Yo, Joe.
Hey there. And while this isn't necessarily a Bravo team, I don't have an opening recorded for the Energon Protocols as far as video-wise, so I figured I'd play that. But yes, I am Aaron Moss. And this here is a special live recording. I'm releasing our new show, G.I. Joe, the Energon Protocols. It should be released now, but it looks like for some reason it's not playing properly on the site. So it should be showing up on your podcatchers. We're going to play it here, and we're going to talk about it. I say we. I am not alone. Joining me, let me go ahead and remove this from solo. Joining me, we have, I'll start with our beloved game master, Erik. Hey, Erik.
How's it going?
All right, glad to have you here and glad to be playing this game with you.
Good to be here.
You're doing a great job as the storyteller.
Thank you.
Anything you want to say about yourself or what you got going on?
Oh, I'm
yourself.
Modesty prevents me from bragging too much, but I'm on Start Playing, running several other games, including a new G.I. Joe game. You can find me, my GM name is Rick Shear. I'm Rick Shear on most of the socials if you're interested, but other than that, I live a boring existence.
Also joining us, bringing the next player, Josh. Hey, Josh.
Hey, guys.
Introduce yourself.
My name's Josh. I play Reaper, who's our team's combat medic. I've been a longtime G.I. Joe fan. I'm also a GM. I run some games myself. Really big into the Renegade game systems and especially the Essence 20 game system. So yeah, I'm just absolutely loving this game. It's a blast. It's fun. Can't wait for everyone else to see the shenanigans we've all been up to. I'm not going to give any spoilers.
And also joining us, returning back to the Headcast studio, he's been here a couple of times, Charles Cushman.
Yeah, so now you get to hear all the things that I've been kind of teasing in the various other ones that I've been in. So I'm playing Classified. Classified is sort of the resident Man in Black type character that knows all the secrets and, tells them as sparingly as possible, trying to maintain safety and order in the world. But isn't particularly great at it and has to grow quite a bit along the way. So I'd never played. This is my first game that I played with the Essence 20 system. So when you're listening to this, you'll be listening to me learning the game along with everybody else who will know the game much better than I did. So feel free. If you don't know anything about the Essence 20 system, don't worry. Neither did I. And you'll get the explanations that everybody was providing me while I was asking and finding out about playing. It's a great, great, great story. I just recently listened to it for the first time, and it is really, it engages me. I've already been through it, and yet I'm still interested in hearing what the next thing is. So I'm very much looking forward to tonight's cast.
Well, means we're doing something right. And finally, last but not least of all, we have Mr. Ryan Costello. Hey, Ryan.
Hello. I'm Ryan Costello, one of the designers of the Essence 20 system and an author on the G.I. Joe Transformers and My Little Pony role-playing game core rulebooks, as well as over a dozen other Essence 20 projects from Renegade Game Studios. And I play Scaffold.
Yeah, not to be kissing up, but you guys are doing a great job on this. I'm loving, like I said, and all of us said we love the game. You guys have done magnificent. I've been waiting for a G.I. Joe role-playing game without even realizing I've been waiting for it. But
So modesty does not... Whatever Erik said, the opposite of that. Yes, I agree. I think S20 is a super fun system. I love writing for it, and it's a great community has built up around it. Players who are fans of these, these brands that I'm also a fan of, and now are fans of this role playing game that I've had such a major role in. That I feel pride and kinship from it all.
And bring us all back in. Actually, what I can do for right now is, oops, 1 second. And that for right now. So usually what it is Thursday nights, 4:00 p.m. Pacific time, and then respective time frames across the country. The 5 of us get together and we play G.I. Joe role-playing game. We do it on Discord. We had one other player, but due to life, he's no longer with us. He had life come up, interfere, and he'll be in this first episode or two. Our other Erik Ergen, am I pronouncing that properly, I think?
I believe so.
He joined. He's one of the leftovers from the previous game that Erik was doing that, again, I was loving. So, so I figure what we'll do is we'll play this. And 1 second. Don't care. Knock it off. My dog trying to nod here on me. So we're going to go ahead and play the thing. And like I say, it may be on your local podcatchers now. It's not showing up on my website, which is headcast.headspeaks.com. I've got to play things out why it's not showing up on there like it should be, but it should be on your podcatchers. And we're going to go ahead and Josh is going to play that here in just a minute. And if anything to say before we get started, we're going to go ahead and play it, and we'll just comment as we go along. Any thoughts or anything that we want to bring into it. So, do you have any other thoughts or anything you want to throw out there before we get started, or just?
I guess I just recommend that anyone that hasn't listened to this episode is better off listening to it without us talking over it first, because we're not going to be giving them the chance to really understand it, because we're adding additional material to what they can listen to on their own.
Maybe some background, maybe some.
This is a little bit like the behind the scenes special edition, release.
Yes.
Director commentary.
So you guys let me know when you're ready, and I will hit the magic button to start.
Lamarty says there's a lot of love in these games. Yes, there is. They're fun games. So we'll go ahead and get started. Go ahead, Josh, and hit play. Here at you. Here a couple months ago, I announced that we were putting an end to the G.I. Joe The Adventure Continues game due to life. Well, since that time, our glorious game master, Erik Smith, has, he's restarted the G.I. Joe gaming universe. He's gathered myself and the other Erik from our game, plus a couple of other new guys, to start a new G.I. Joe adventure. This new story/game.
Erik, you want to talk about recruiting the couple of new guys?
Studios.
Oh.
Energon Universe. Where
Yeah,
G.I. Joe and
remember
Transformers
what I
now
did.
combined.
I saw your post, I believe, on the Renegade,
stories will tie into
the G.I. Joe
Skybound
page.
G.I. Joe and
I don't know
Yeah.
how many other pages you posted to.
coming out on the shows. So if you wanna
Just
get
there's
kind of
one other big
background
Facebook
and
group.
other
It's
stuff that's
G.I. Joe
happening in the
RPG and
universe,
the Renegade site.
please check
I
out the
went on
comics
both
from
of those.
Skybound
A
Entertainment.
couple of my
This
local
will be the
groups.
G.I.
but
Joe
no one
stories.
responded to that.
What is happening in real life is that
but I was
on every
fortunate.
other Monday, Erik has a Transformers game he's
But
writing. Unfortunately, due to
everything
life, I'm
went
not able to record
surprisingly
those, so we're
smoothly.
not going to catch those
even
stories. But
smoother
on the
than
off
the
weeks,
first
for the
campaign.
Transformers guys,
Was mostly my
Erik is running
personal
a
friends.
G.I. Joe role-playing game. So we're going to be doing this every 2 weeks.
Luckily, you made a couple
For now,
more
I'm
personal
gonna be releasing
friends.
these
So
podcasts
yeah.
monthly. I'll fit it in with my other shows.
No, I was very.
Release these on a
I
monthly
listened
basis
through
now.
the first
Once I
whole
get some personal
campaign,
things
and
dealt with, I may
it ended
start
up with
releasing
like
these
that
on
one
more
session
regular
where everybody's planning the bank
For now,
heist to go into
you get to enjoy it
this
monthly.
castle to get
The role-playing
Destro,
game
and
is
I was
produced
like,
by
and we're
Renegade
done here. I'm
Studios.
like,
Website,
no. So
renegadeststudios.com.
in my own head, it
G.I.
ended up
Joe,
that they all went into the
Transformers,
castle
My
and they
Little
all got
Pony,
like
Power
shot up by
Rangers, plus
robots
many,
and
many more.
died, and
Great company,
only Hardman
great
made it
games.
out, and
I
that's why
highly
he's here.
recommend it. But enough
So
preamble.
that's
Let's go ahead and get
I had to
started
finish
with
it in
the
my
very
own
first
head. So
episode of
it's definitely we want to take
Energon
this one through to the
Protocols.
end because
Yes. Definitely that one there. After the holidays, around this time of the year, and we had to take breaks because of holidays,
world where
Christmas, and all
ruthless
that.
terrorist organization is determined to rule the
Christmas kills campaigns.
Yes.
Not this
a
one.
world where
Not
sometimes
this one.
machines
We're gonna
are
survive.
more than meets the eye.
We've got it scheduled to make it through.
Our heroes are determined to stop the forces of evil.
Josh, how did
whether
you
it be
get
man,
involved?
snake, machine?
I met
something
Erik
else.
through
A world that needs heroes.
the Renegade G.I.
A
Joe
world that needs
group on
the
Facebook.
Energon Protocols.
Okay, so you answered the posting they made?
Yeah, one of the recruiting posts, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so that's similar to me. I saw the post.
on the
I
comic
contacted
books.
Erik about joining in.
We were playing in the
And,
Energon universe.
Eric's first question was if I was familiar with the system.
Joe and
So I had to
Transformers.
explain who I was,
So
and he was
basically going to be
happy to
running
have me on
in
board, I believe.
real time.
And then
So
I'd asked, I
events
said,
that
like, I've
happen
got another guy that I think
this
would really
coming
enjoy
week
this
in
group,
the
but by
Corporate
then you
Commander
were
book
full.
Are basically
And
happening
so Charles,
right now.
was
And
on deck,
you
and if
just
anything was going to
ended,
happen, but then,
and
like,
they're
as we were
rebuilding
going
or
up to the
building
first
a new
session, it was
pit
clear,
in
well,
Utah.
I guess we're
So
not going to,
that's
I
in
guess there's not
process.
going to be any room for
They're
Charles, which
starting
is
to put
unfortunate.
out feelers to
And then,
put
like,
together a team
day of,
to deal
this
with
other
this
player they
event.
had lined up found out you
Weird
weren't using
new
a virtual
alien threat.
tabletop.
So
He was like,
while the
oh, well, then I
Pentagon
can't
and
play.
Hawk
I'm out. And I'm like, Charles, you're in. You're in.
Child Duke is kind of
So
working on
fast.
the infrastructure
I didn't know where you got
of
that they
this
were using
specific
virtual
special
tabletop.
branch or whatever it's going to wind up being.
I never
The
heard that
Pentagon,
mentioned. All of a sudden,
likes
I'm not
to
using that. Well, I'm out of here.
Spread out and
Heck,
not
okay.
hyper concentrate. At least in this instance,
Wait,
has
we've been
passed
using
Beachhead,
virtual tabletop?
who's an Army Ranger
Oh,
and
no, well, we have. You have.
training sergeant, and
It's like I've been
all-around
working off these loose leaf notes that
unpleasant
have
person,
been
but in the good way.
Bro,
posted
was
in the
like,
chat.
Beachhead
Charles moving his
putting
token.
together a special investigations team, and that's basically going to be you guys.
Hey, Aaron,
So
is it
one day,
possible to
while
turn
you're
down the volume
living
on
your life
the
and furthering your
game
military
session
careers,
just a
you
little?
will get a
Or do I need to go do that?
signed
You would need to do that in your
mail
head.
thing. You have to sign for it.
Okay.
The word
Because
escapes me. It's going to happen
It's
every now
just
and
a
again.
little
Registered
loud, I
mail.
think. It's
Yeah,
hard
that
to
one
hear what
comes to
everyone
you.
else is saying over it.
Yeah, I can mute it. That's
Oh,
about
why
it.
don't you keep it? Why don't you keep it playing?
So
and I'll
most of
just
you,
volume
except
down.
for Copper, are in the services now. So that will come directly to your barracks or wherever you're
Top would
stationed.
be the other
And
Eric.
it is essentially reassignment papers. Like you have 48
Actually,
hours.
That wasn't
Get
true
the
because
Nellis
Scaffold's also not
Air Force Base,
enlisted. He
just
was
outside of
just
Las
civilian
Vegas,
engineer.
Nevada, and wait for further orders. Copper, we kind of touched on how you're getting this paper.
I don't know if I knew that.
Just between us for the moment, but
Yeah,
you
so
also have this paper.
it comes up a couple of times in this episode. I was playing
authoritative.
Scaffold
It's
as
the
the
Pentagon
guy
can't order
who
you
was
around
not
to
taking
the
any of the
civilian.
weird stuff
They
literally,
would
was always
really,
trying to get
really
to the
like
bottom of
you to
like,
show up.
what do you mean a wizard?
So,
What do you mean an
once
alien?
you
Like,
are
okay, so it's
at
someone from
Nellis,
another country, right?
It's big base.
Because
with a
he's used to
firing
being
range
the weirdest
attached
guy in the
to it,
room
so
as
it's,
like a
hundreds of
jetpack
thousands of
engineer.
acres.
And so
Right.
the fact that he
Involves
got in
a
and now he's the normal
mountain
guy
and a dry lake bed.
took a lot of adjusting
and
for.
They do all of their weapons testing there. So you're there for a day, maybe slightly less, depending on when you get
Yeah,
in
see,
from
my
wherever
personal
you were
canon,
originally stationed.
And
and
the other
a guy
player
finds you
who was
and
a
gives you
civilian.
another letter.
Well,
This
that's
one
why
is
he's
not
not around
official.
anymore.
It's in a
Because,
plain envelope that
because,
you buy at
the
like any
agency I work for
pharmacy
was super not
within 20
comfortable
miles
with
of you. It's not
somebody
even
with
legal
his level
size. It's
of
one of those like
inability
birthday
to
card
draw
envelopes.
attention,
And
knowing
in
what he
it
knew.
is a
And
handwritten
so
note
now
saying,
he's in a
giving
black
you
site prison somewhere.
directions. Some
languishing.
small
He
side
was even a minor
road
celebrity
about
in
2 hours north
MMA,
of where you are.
yeah, in mixed martial arts. So
on
it made
State
sense
Road
that he had to
50,
go.
which is nicknamed the
Yeah.
loneliest road.
So
because
Lamar,
there's
he
nobody
was-
on it.
you wanted to
in
play
between
also, but
basically
you had
Austin
to
and
play
Eureka in Nevada, and you're
another
supposed to
alternate
get
universe. You did one
there
of
at
our players.
approximately 9 p.m. local time.
Namato, are you David Martel?
A group of us, like, or is there a large group of us
Let's
there
see if he
together?
replies. But yeah,
Yeah.
I
When you're
suspect
jealous,
I
you don't
know
know each
who
other.
the Marteau
Okay.
is.
You see each other in chow
Hey
lines.
guys, how's that
You
for
have no way
volume?
to
of
know
us talking
who
over?
each other
Better?
are called.
I
Okay, so
didn't hear any
We
difference.
don't
You
know
guys?
that we're all
Very-
going to the
very
same
difference
location,
to it.
so we wouldn't like, hey, let's carpool.
Correct.
Oh, there we go. It's who I thought it was. It's David Martel. The fact that he has a French handle on, I'm assuming this is coming from YouTube. Yeah, on YouTube. Kind of narrowed down who it could be. And then when he said that he wanted to be in that game as well, yeah, I was like, okay, well, how many francophones do I know that are also in this game group? And I took a shot and I was right.
You guys are going to come in at 9
Sorry, you
o'clock.
didn't join us, David.
What the directions go to is an army base.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of an interesting piece about this is that, well, it started a mostly American group. It then ended up being a mostly Canadian group.
Barbed wire and all kinds
Yeah,
of
yeah.
government
So I forget who, besides myself,
You're gonna get shot.
who else is in America here? No, I don't want to
No
say
one in the guard.
Yeah,
It's me.
Eric.
Approach the gate.
Moved.
It opens for you.
I'm the other
Drive
American.
another
Okay.
mile in until you
No,
pull
I'm
up.
still
to
technically American. I just moved to
FTX,
Montreal about 6 weeks ago.
Army grocery store.
Yeah. In
Transplant.
fact, like Canada's a big country, so the fact that of anywhere that you could have moved, you're within like 40 minutes of me is like super funny to me.
So they're big and wide and tall and kind of stick out. There's minimal lighting here, so you get the impression that it's not
Now, in this first episode, I had to back out like fairly quickly. It's actually, having listened to it back, I leave sooner than I even thought. So, Aaron, I'm curious, did you ever think about just editing Scaffold out? Because he just disappears after, you know, I've definitely said more now than I say in the entire episode.
I thought about it, but again, we do comment. It take a lot more to edit you out, and our replies to you, and
I stretch out.
you know, he'll just vanish at some point.
In this scenario, this looks.
Yeah, I do. So when you start doing the requisition phase and people are asking questions, and I'm like, why aren't I answering? I know all the answers to these questions. It's like, oh, I'm gone. You don't see Scaffold for the rest of the episode.
I was missing your voice as well. I was like,
put my rifle to my
did you
back.
say something during this?
And I feel very comfortable in this. I'm interested in
so just
what's in the
you know,
hangars.
I have two kids and a wife that's a bit of a workaholic, so you know, coordinating a game while also putting the girls to bed and hoping that my wife is home to pick up the slack on gaming night doesn't always happen. And unfortunately, it didn't happen on our first night. For the most part, I've stayed through for the rest of the episodes, but I think there's at least one episode that I had to back out early. I think I came back that time.
I think everyone's had to kind of make a little bit of a disappearance and then kind of pop back in there. And I think we're pretty good with bringing that together. But considering how absolutely pivotal Ryan will be in the next episode, which I'm not going to say anything about. It's important to have you in the continuity and there. The team is a team for a reason, and as we see it kind of forming within this episode, you see that everybody has a really important part to play in it.
Shopping, maybe pick up some snacks.
I didn't really talk much about Scaffold. I am an aeronautic engineer, so I have a jetpack and I repair planes when they're still in the air. And the character is kind of based on my cousin's husband, who is an aquatic engineer, and he fixes boats and rigs while they're still out on the water. And he's got the coolest job of anyone I know. It's also Scaffold's file name is Jack Cousin, because he is my cousin, or well, my cousin's husband, Jack. So yeah, this whole character, like Jack, is cool enough that you can base a GI Joe on him, and it still feels like an exaggeration of something that could be real.
Yeah, and Hardman, as I talked about, that's my back in '87 when they created Joe.
Rows
was my character.
Maybe 15 or 20
Steel
yards
Force
long.
Warriors, Steel Brigade.
Like the
nice.
Where's Hardman?
You have to walk down an aisle. Yes,
Reaper's based off of an Air Force, U.S. Air Force pararescue, parajumper. That's his background.
This is where kind of everyone's loitering. But when you're going,
Classified was based on the fact that it absolutely amused me that to be the one who knows everything when I literally know nothing. I hadn't followed the comics at all. Don't know the rule set. I was like in there completely not knowing anything that was going on, but going, yeah, I know that. Eric's like, you know this? I'm like, yes, I do.
Yeah, we're coming up on the requisition check, and you're like, this is the first time I have to roll in the system, and you had to explain like 2 or 3 times. No, dumb it down more. I know nothing.
I like the fact that Charles didn't know anything. Because again, I mean, I had the previous campaign we did, but for people that's maybe just now joining us, that's unfamiliar with the game, it kind of helps them get caught up in it too, and explains to them also. So I like when any of us doesn't know the rules,
do your thing.
And it helps that we have someone with us that actually knows what the hell he's talking about.
Like the entire 2 ends of the scale. The guy who literally knows everything and the guy who literally knows nothing.
And you're playing the guy who knows everything, and I'm playing the guy who knows nothing.
In a course of only 4 years, I'm absolutely dominating the MMA circuit.
I forget if we worked this out, but I've taken the position that I'm not going to do any rules clarification or anything unless called upon to do that. Like, I figure it's your game. I could be butting in left, right, and center, but I just don't feel like it's my place as a player in the system. Or in the game.
If I gloss over a ruling for the sake of smoothing and keeping things going, then that's one thing. But if I'm just totally wrong on a right field and have no clue, then I never mind a correction.
A bunch of military guys.
Yeah, there's been a lot of times, I think, during the sessions where we've had a question and Ryan being there and being able to answer that rule has got us moving again so quick and so fast and right back into the story.
Spending half an hour. It's here in the rule book somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what I do. I grab the rule book and Ryan answered the question before I'm on page like 7. So.
It's good that I know the rules, and the rules that I'm not sure of, I know where to find them. I know where they are in the book. So, I can find them pretty quickly. Makes me seem like I've memorized them.
Are you famous? Do you have a winning record?
I went through quick. There is kind of not really an Easter egg, but I don't know if it ever came up. But the dentist that we're looking for in this first episode is a named character. The specifics are a bit vague, and it's not 100% he was a dentist and he did these things, but he's a named character. And I don't think anyone either put that together or no one said it out loud who it is.
Well, nobody said it was Dr. Mindbender, but I was looking around for some metal suspenders and a cape and didn't find them. So.
Yeah, I was looking for the metal codpiece and the cape and the monocle.
What's in his codpiece drawer?
Well, remember. Hold on, just remember though what ends up happening. Why we didn't get into certain areas.
Well, we'll hear that I think today, or is it? No, that would be the next one. That would be the next one.
Yes, next one.
Dressed as
there, but yeah, it was fairly. I think you definitely applied the foreshadowing there to anyone who has any knowledge of that era of Joe's. There's not really that many people who were dentists who do that.
He kind of looks like.
I'm also impressed. Like you've right from the start, Beachhead is one of our characters. Dr. Mindbender is one of our characters, and yet we're playing in the Energon universe in real time. At any point, they could have introduced either of these fairly significant characters, and they just haven't yet. And so we have not contradicted any of the continuity.
Very clearly knows
how to use it. And I did that on purpose. I from like the old toy lines. I started and I'm fucking characters from generation 3 and 4 and 5. So hopefully that extends the time arc that they're going to basically follow in the same footsteps and introduce them later. But I've already messed it up. There's a companion Transformers game that we don't record, but happens in the same universe, and you guys have crossed over with them twice now. But I decided I was going to put the Nemesis in Erie, Pennsylvania, and then a month later they revealed that the Nemesis is in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. So
and it looks like he's resisting.
Isn't that where Erie, Pennsylvania is?
Over the bar.
Sometimes, yeah.
I mean,
giving off a lot of
could be,
suburban.
I just know it from the TV show that weird stuff happens.
Who stands
next
oh no, that was Indiana, Erie, Indiana.
So wasn't it Erie, Indiana?
Yeah, sorry. No, Pennsylvania is totally normal.
Dark hair.
It's like Springfield. They all have one.
5'9", 150 pounds. Looks like he's in the Army, but it's not. You don't recognize the patches. It's no.
I think what I love most about the openings in these original, sort of the exposition pieces, is how flowing and neutral Eric's voice is as he's delivering it. Like I could listen to that. I could listen to you read the phone book. Like it's just very, very chill to listen to that.
It kind of has that wooden thumping.
I was hoping Hexblade would be a larger piece.
Got other things
that somebody would be a wizard,
ranger guy. Kind of clears his throat.
I mean, that happened eventually. Yeah, I don't know why Shoehorn and Hexblade haven't chatted very much.
Kind of goes around.
He's been on the scene, right? Hexblade has. When I've played Scaffold, not Scaffold, Shoehorn.
And he looks up to make sure he's acknowledged.
I think there's probably something going on there, and we don't know what it is yet. But there's probably
a lot going on with Shoehorn that nobody knows what's going on.
A little bit more relaxed here.
Let's just say there's a lot going on in the game right now that none of us know what the hell is going on. All right. Let's just say when we left our last game session, Erik left us on such a cliffhanger that we're all waiting until the new year to get into that next session.
And it's been a while. It's been like a month or 6 weeks since we played because of
appreciate you taking the time to meet with us this evening.
And live stream is happening on our game night.
Yeah, but I'm telling you though, I am just itching to get back into finding out what's going to happen
everything about
next.
him is classified. So,
And that's another for all of them, right? It's got you've built in the cliffhanger, you've managed the time really well, so that at the end of it, we are at a reasonable break point, but not just a reasonable break point, but and tune in next time moment, which are really keep you coming back. And it's I love that about it. I also want to mention, because this is kind of going through, we dither way less, I think, than any other adventuring party I have ever heard. Like, we make decisions faster. We don't dwell on rules anywhere near as much. I was going, wow, Aaron's edited this so well, and you may have, and I completely missed out on it because you've taken out all of the parts where we weren't particularly interesting to hear, but. Particularly with this one, it was, wow, we make decisions quickly. We don't, sit around and go, I don't know, well, left, right, I'm not sure. There was very little of that, and that kept the action going really well. So that's something I find absolutely wonderful about this particular group.
Yeah, well, I mean, the game team gelled really well and really quickly, and the player team gelled really well and really quickly.
That's why I was talking about my wife or my son, and I was talking about our group, how a lot of our characters are very loner type characters.
I am definitely
looking
at him like he's somebody's curious,
mistrusting everybody. But we don't fight or anything. We get along well. Or my son, like I said before, I play Saturday night D&D with my son. Half the players in there are very chaotic, and they're always looking ways to cause problems and arguments. And I'm like, come on, guys! I know you're supposed to, you're trying to be, a difficult character, but you need to work with the team. Like the G.I. Joe game I play, we're all difficult, mistrusting people, but we can get along because we know how, we're adults.
Fantasy movie. This is
I think part of it is the way we approach. Each of us approached our characters. We approached our characters like they're professionals in their fields, and so that when we were put together as a team, we started with that same kind of mentality in our characters, and so the characters gelled. And then just as players, I think just this group of players has just gelled really, really well together.
He has to take a moment. It's like he looks down.
I mean, I've known Ryan for 20 years, probably 20 years. Is that about right?
98, I think, is when I found the bivouac.
Yeah. So about 25 years now. So we should be having our own silver anniversary sometime soon. But I didn't know anyone else. After session 1, I'm like, I can't wait to talk to these guys again. So.
Actually,
also,
no, go ahead.
I don't understand.
I would say that and living in fear of Eric's dad voice, going. Are you going to be a problem for me? So I can turn this campaign right around, and we all go home. But anyway, sorry, Ryan, you go ahead.
Well, I was saying that listening back to it, I'm the only one you knew in this group, and then I disappear half an hour into the episode, and you are still gelling with everybody. You instant chemistry with the whole group, and it was nice because I could have easily seen you become the wallflower of the group. Although Classified probably wouldn't have let you do that to him.
He definitely has a flow to him. He has an energy to him that it's very easy to just grab the coattails of and follow along. And it's even funnier. I listen to it and I hear he has all of this wonderful confidence and he just knows what's going on and I don't. So I'm going, why does he know more than I do when I'm playing him?
Here's the thing, Charles, I didn't know until now that you had very little knowledge on the game system going in and stuff. So that makes it even better.
There's honestly several times where I'm like, did Charles and Eric plan this? They are so simpatico. Charles clearly knows more about what's going on than anyone else. But how?
Honestly, I assumed a lot of the times Charles was giving context as things that he knew or saying that he knew it, that him and Eric had a conversation in the week in between discussing things for his character.
Unusual side.
So Eric's really good at if I drop something, he picks it up and makes it part of the story. It's seamless how quickly he can adapt to the stuff that I throw out. So I try not to be throw, a million miles out there things. But whenever I do throw it out, he picks it up and turns it in and keeps going. And it's a wonderful flow. Every once in a while we'll throw a text and Erik will go, I'm going to do something really nasty to you. And then I'll be like, okay, bring it on.
Yeah, that was later. That's like session 8, 9.
Yeah, that was way later. But
that's a sign of a good game master, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They take things that are just dropped in their lap. Okay, I'll run with this.
And I instantly knew that I could trust Erik, that I could throw something out there and that he could absorb it and then process it and it wouldn't throw the game off, because that's Erik, you've proven to be like super flexible about anything that pops up. I think I've ruined your plans maybe twice.
What's really big?
There are 2 specific times that I've altered the entire session based on something that Charles did. The first one was the next episode. I changed entire plot points because he said something or did something, and Ryan's done that once, and I think Josh has done that once.
And not only that,
I have.
he takes a breath.
Oh, I'm
Aaron,
curious
you
about
do.
when I done it.
And I definitely did do it on purpose, so I have no idea what I did that changed.
No, it's fine. I mean, your ideas or the things you came up with were better than what I had. So,
so I just let you.
Oh, is it where we're running on our stuff on the fly in the game and we're just popping out ideas and changing things?
I don't remember specifically what they were, but I was thinking about it today to make a couple of notes. So I have some talking points. And
We'll probably pick them up when we listen to other sessions in the future too.
Yeah, the only one I know off the top of my head is like I said, Charles drops a bomb next episode. It changes the whole back half of the adventure.
Oh, you're talking about the next episode one? No, I was talking about a more recent one that you even sat down and said, "Look, this is what I had planned. You could do your thing. I'm fine with that, but is everyone okay not having the big boss fight that we were planning here?" And I think we all prefer an organically told story that just our actions matter and can have
that.
consequences like that.
I think that was the session I wasn't there and done the makeup session with the Transformers
people.
Yeah, so I don't even know what happened in that session.
Oh,
I don't know any of the stuff that happened in that session.
Yes,
as a player or a character.
Well, and if you've only ever listened to this, like Classified's really like he has a arc, like a hard arc between the douche that was like that they just met a little while ago in the thing, and it's like, hi, I'm Reaper. I bet you are. You wouldn't get to give up anything. And Reaper and Classified didn't like super get along at the beginning, though it was pure pro, because Reaper was like, yeah, I'll come in, I'll collect evidence, I'll collect all the samples and everything like that. And he's like, no, don't, can't let people near the secret stuff. But several sessions in, I was thinking about another campaign again, and there's a particular point where I can't really spoil it. I can't say much about it, but there's a real connection between Classified and Reaper that really, like, it just shows how much they've grown together, doing all the things that the party had done. So there has been a significant amount of growth in all of the characters, and they're not really loners anymore. They may have started out that way, but they're very much kind of following the same direction and inside jokes and doing those things that, a team that's really, has seen the element together do. And I feel like that's something that you really should look for in a party that's done what this group is doing and what they're doing now, from where they started now.
Literally finished this fight, and
one thing I think is really interesting about the dynamic in our groups is we never said, Charles is our team leader, or Ryan's our team leader, or Josh is going to be the team leader, or Aaron's going to be the team leader. We all just kind of merge and step out when it's our character's specialty to take point.
That's how G.I. Joe runs.
And yeah, so we actually are running just like a G.I. Joe team where, if it's a fire team's needed, Aaron's going to be stepping up because, Hardman's our big fire guy, and he's going to be leading where the fire team's going to go. If it's on intelligence, Classified stepping up. Technical stuff, we go to Scaffold. Medical, we go to Reaper.
Is to investigate.
Also, explosions with Reaper.
I think Reaper and Scaffold are kind of like two sides of the same coin in that we kind of have like a primary fixer function, but we also can really hold our own in combat.
Oh yeah, we have both shown that these rules can hold their own in combat. They're not just like throwaway rolls.
And I think that Hardman and Classified are two sides of the same coin in that I cannot hold my own in combat and have proven horribly inept to it. But Hardman will be like, okay, everyone get behind the shield. I'm going to gun everything down. And Classified's like, I'm going to hide in the ditch. This is
hold on. I got to go back.
That.
I got to go back to one session though, where you held your own in combat against. I don't want to give anything away, but it was you and me, and we was trying to rescue a team. Remember, we was in the cave and we was outnumbered. And you're the one who really saved our asses in that fight.
Well, I think that what it comes down to is that I use my words because I'm inept with my weapons. So I just use my words. And it's really a credit to the Essence 20 system, how powerful people who use their words can actually be. I looked at the skill set that what ended up being one of Classified's primary skills, and went, what the hell is this? Okay, I'll write it down, but I'm not sure I'll ever use it. And it turned out that it turned out to be, when properly applied, an incredibly powerful ability. And so everything within Essence 20, you have to kind of look at it twice and go, no, actually, that is good. Oh, no, wait, that changes everything. And I know that, just this one weird, obscure thing I wrote down on my paper has probably caused Erik more pain as a GM than any other skill that anyone has. So it's been really, it's been excellent to explore the system because there's wonderful little gems in it everywhere.
Little earbud thing.
I will take credit for that specifically because you are playing an officer and I designed the officer. And my goal was definitely to be like, this will never be the guy that gets the kill shot, but the kill shot happened because of this role.
And that's very much how that has happened so many times in the game.
Like he's standing right next to you whispering.
Like Classified has opened up the door for either Hardman, Scaffold, or Reaper to get in and just stun the person down long enough, lock them down long enough, daze them long enough, whatever it was, for us to get in and do what we need to do.
Why am I under house arrest all of a sudden?
And it was so satisfying to do them too, because it's not just about rolling the dice, it's about really saying the words that Classified would say in order to have the impact that the dice did. And that's, that's a really fun part of this, because it just, I don't know, there's a really evilness to the way Classified goes after people sometimes that I would never in real life ever do. And so that really kind of makes it a joy to just unleash that little bit of evil that he can do. But you can see that that's part of the growth of him as well, because when you listen to him here, he's barely able to do this kind of stuff. He's just not. And there's a reasoning in the game as to why he's growing. But it's just interesting to listen now about the fact that he doesn't really know what he's doing or how to do things effectively, and he's learning it on the job while maintaining that I know what's going on, I know what to do, but not really knowing.
Really the only military personnel as of about a month.
Classified is the officer role. What's your focus? Battlefield psychologist?
Battlefield psychologist. That's sort of where that part comes from. Is
is aware of any of
and
that.
There's stuff in the character that hasn't been revealed yet. Erik knows a bit about it, but we're kind of freestyling where that goes. But why that comes into play, why that matters. And that some of that we know, which comes out in later things, but some of it it certainly isn't obvious right now.
Like a 2-page personnel file on a dentist, Dr. John Bender, DDS.
Oh, there we go.
One or two other initials after the DDS. He's a practicing dentist, and maybe he's got some research credentials. Nothing remarkable.
Her DDS
at dental school.
Bender, and I know.
Atlanta.
My Bender.
Class.
Yep.
Did his doctorate on insidious nature of sugar substitutes and the proliferation of
which is from his
had this file for like
what do you call it, from his extended character file was the
you start getting into the interesting stuff.
The sugar thing.
For a dentist in a know-nothing town
Where's the
in
sugar
Colorado,
thing? Like from the Order of Battle comic?
I believe so.
Okay, but it's not in his
I think so.
file, right?
I think so.
Level scientists. And
Yeah, I would have.
Yeah,
to
it was. I think it was in the Order of Battle, the extended one where Hama had the extra long file cards on everyone.
I don't think it was because I'm 90% sure I made it up.
Oh, really? I thought there was something in there about him doing experiments and stuff.
The experiments, yeah. Experiments with pain resistance is part of his file card. It's his origin story. But the sugar thing specifically, I don't know.
Like 1990, so I had no idea.
The eastern side of the Rockies, you're an hour or two drive from Littleton to the plains. And he says that there's enough weird stuff going on with this guy that.
And how do you find the Vanguard?
There's a note in here in like his stuff he's done
What?
to get himself arrested.
Is it Aaron? How do you find the Vanguard?
They want him for
What do you mean?
questioning.
I like it.
For an investigation into.
Sorry, we said, how do you find?
Dictator.
Funny
Oh,
story.
no. What do you feel about the Vanguard? Like, what
Page
is
76.
So I'm a little slow at times. Back in 2000, I went to a friend's wedding back in Kansas City, Missouri.
And
again, I'm from California, so I'm out there in Missouri, and one of the guys, older guys, was like, how'd you find Missouri? I got maps and I followed the road. It's not that difficult. My friend's like, it means how you like it out here. Oh, okay. Sorry.
That was a local expression.
But,
it's up to us.
no, I like the Vanguard. It's
Yep.
I saw that, and I remember my character I made for I created the job. That would fit perfect. I need to do that. Protect your character, and I try to make a character that's more background, not a leader type. Because like I said, the D&D games, I keep trying to do that, and I keep getting pushed into the leader role because the rest of the group is a bunch of clowns. Well, but right now I'm a cleric. It was just along the group to help out the group. And somehow I've been appointed leader again. So,
fridge or something like that.
Yes.
But yes, I like the Vanguard guy. It kind of gives me an excuse not to
everyone has stuff.
What's your focus, Aaron?
The ordinance?
No one's quite exactly sure
what's your focus as a Vanguard?
I'm trying to remember.
Downtown Littleton.
Sorry, that was me thinking.
Building. He rents out the apartment above the dentist office.
You pull up and see real quick.
There's a one-page piece of paper on him. He's nothing. He's a janitor at the school and pays a ridiculously small rent amount because it's above a dentist office. And this guy apparently knows nothing. Not
And I think I mentioned at the top, Reaper's infantry combat medic, infantry medic.
He doesn't have any property tied to his name.
Heavy ordnance
around here.
Heavy ordnance, yeah. That's kind of the default focus for the Vanguard, and then the other one are the
whatever it is. His paper trail seems to indicate.
He says, "I find the Vanguard hard to hit."
Even to you weird paperwork.
Eric, do you concur?
And probably a little bit.
There were. I think I've hit them once or twice during this campaign, but there were 5 or 6 episodes of the last one where I couldn't touch them no matter what I did.
Figure out what's going on. There's stuff that doesn't work.
Vanguard could probably use a little bit of refreshing to some of its defenses because it is extremely hard to hit. Yeah, I mean it's got the weakness to electromagnetic, but then we did not give electromagnetic weapons to many of the threats, so you have to start customizing just to take out your Vanguard.
Yeah.
Oh, trust me. And in a game I was running, I had a guy playing a Vanguard, and I had to get very creative with how I. There was times where I needed to hit these guys just to kind of let them know that they weren't invulnerable, and I had to get creative with ways to do so.
Has a regular
I think that from a threat perspective, though, like at least being within my character, I always feel terrified that I'm going to get killed.
Yeah.
So you're doing a good job there. I mean, it's very different. It might be hard man walking out of there alone, which hard man probably doesn't want. So it becomes a really, even if he can't be hit, we all can. So it becomes okay. How does he best protect us in situations like that? So, but yeah, I always feel that there is a good chance I'm going to die in any given situation that we're against. That's good. That is what you want.
Job of Tooth Fairy really serious.
Well, and I think all 3 of the main combatants on the team kind of know that, and we all kind of guard Classified in different ways, but also know we got to let Classified have his space to do what he needs to, because he's gonna boost us to do what we need to do.
He'll leave you to it. Brick steps forward. He takes you into like the back storage room of like the grocery store.
Dave says that
and all cleared out.
they decided to give the Vanguard meat shield instead of the default personal shield.
Yeah, so the meat shield was an alternate role perk that was introduced in the Sergeant Slaughter's box set, and the reason was that we wanted to give. Actually, it had a couple of purposes. One of them is that we wanted to give a Sergeant Slaughter themed Vanguard focus, and that like electronic shield just kind of threw off the whole thing. He really needed to be like superhuman and not enhanced by technology. So meat shield increases your defenses, but it's really just because you are so physically dense that it's hard for the stuff to penetrate you. And then the other thing is it is a bit of a backwards. It's like on the fly errata, where it's like, yeah, okay, a lot of groups are noticing that the personal shield is pretty powerful. So here's an alternate that is, it is straight up a lesser perk. Like you are a worse off character because of it, but the group is kind of a little happier if you take the meat shield.
Because I really like this aspect of the game.
He has the constitution of a vending machine.
It went over really well.
Okay. If you want me to go as an example, I will. Unless you want to go through the process first, and then I'll do it.
Oh, I see what Stode's saying.
So, standard requisition is 3.
Oh, right, the requisition phase.
Anything or forget to mention something.
Yeah, so by now I'm gone.
I hadn't even read that.
Oh, anyway, see you guys. This was a fun.
Ryan's like, all right, out of here.
Trained in, qualified.
No, I can talk about all the things Scaffold would have said.
Basically,
what was Scaffold's focus?
Scaffold's focus is Rocketeer. It's from Cobra Codex. So it's a technician with a jetpack. And even though it's Cobra Codex, it kind of applies more to G.I. Joe, and it probably could have been either saved for an equipment book that we knew was eventually going to come, or even been used in the core rulebook. But anyway, Cobra Codex was being developed, and we wanted to make sure. I wrote Cobra Codex by myself. I just tend to say we because I don't like taking all the credit. But in this case, Cobra Codex was pretty much mine. Yeah, so I wanted a jetpack. I love jetpacks, and so I went with the Rocketeer name. And like part of the description even said Oxford English Dictionary defines Rocketeer as whatever, a guy with a jetpack, just so that the developer or the editor didn't look at that and say, no, that's Disney owns that word. We can't name it that. It's like, no. This is they named it after a legit word. We can use this. It's fine. It's a dictionary word, and it's the perfect word for it. There's actually a lot of fun wordplay hidden in there. Like the perk that gives you the jetpack is called Skybound. Skybound did not publicly have the G.I. Joe license when that book was being developed or even when it published, but there were rumors for over a year that Skybound was doing something with G.I. Joe coming up. And so I was like, I'm going to take that shot. And either it's now a reference to a rumor that turned out to not be true, or it is now a reference to the publisher of the comic that really has really put G.I. Joe back into like pop culture consciousness. So there's that one. And then the last, I think it's the capstone, is Human Bullet, which is a reference to Bullet Man, which was from the Super Joe era between the 12-inch Joes and the 3 3/4-inch Joes. When Hasbro was just throwing stuff at the wall, and they decided this guy is literally a human bullet. He has a helmet like a bullet. He flies at you, and it's like you are being shot by his whole body. And so, I made it gender neutral, and otherwise, it is a reference to that character.
Natural 20.
Very nice.
Sweet. Yay.
There is so much stuff like that in everything, like every corner of the books. And like at one point an editor had changed. So there's a line in Ferocious Fighters, Faction Action 1, which is a Flint quote that Snake is sneak spelled sideways. And an editor changed it to like Snake is an anagram for sneak. And I was like, no, you pay me to put these G.I. Joe references in. Now you've accidentally paid somebody to take a G.I. Joe reference out. So now that I've caught it, please put this back in. And the producer was like, could you just give us a list of all the references so we don't accidentally take them out? It's like, no, it would be as long as the book.
It would be the book. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do not change a word I wrote.
Well,
No,
and the esoteria that, I think that's the right word for it, but they're just the weird little tiny things that, having known Ryan for so long, I can pick out deliberately like sentences that I go, I would stake my life on the fact that Ryan wrote this sentence. There was, I think, one around somebody turning into an orca.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'm like, there is nobody who would put that down in this book except for Ryan, because he knows that, and I know he knows that, and he's going to put that there. So that was, there are some places where it just absolutely shines through that this material so well, and not just it, but all the little weird bits that nobody thinks about anymore. So I was very impressed by all of those.
And I cannot believe I got away with it. It's in Cobra Codex, and it's talking about how Destro could be arguing with Zartan or Cobra Commander, or flirting with Baroness or Cobra Commander. Prove me wrong. Prove me that when he's saying "my dear Cobra Commander" all the time, that there's not something going on there. And nobody stopped me from doing it, and so I did it.
I love it.
Everything Ryan writes needs to be in there.
Well, there else could be anybody under that mask. I mean, what do we know, right? Like,
I got to say, one of the things is, one, I absolutely love knowing that Ryan is writing on some of these books. And there is one book that came out that I know Ryan wasn't a big contributor on, and I even came out to Ryan and said, Ryan, that book just didn't hit like it should have. And the reason why is when you have someone that's got the love and the passion and the knowledge and everything, that shows through in that book. And then in that one, it just, knowing that you wasn't on it, it showed.
All right.
Well, it's not that I wasn't on it, because
I mean, you was.
People could look at the credit. It is the Quartermaster's Guide to Gears, the only hardcover that I wasn't involved in. I wrote the outline for that, and then I came back afterwards and did kind of a development pass and kind of a just consistency pass, and we didn't really know what to call it. So that's why I've got the gijoe or something credit in there. What my exact credit is.
I don't have either of those trained.
It was just one of those books that out of all the other books, in my opinion, it just didn't hit as hard. And it just had a different feel and a different vibe to it. And honestly, in my opinion, I think it's because Ryan wasn't on it as much. He was, but not as much. He didn't put as much content into it. Like I've seen in all the other stuff. And like the Cobra Codex is awesome.
Which I have.
I think I will say Quartermaster Guide probably just doesn't have as many winks and nods, because the options are still totally valid, and it is still the stuff that I said should be in here. And I'd been like 3 books ahead. I had my spreadsheet of like, here's 6 focus options for every single role. We've got 3 of them published now, and then Sergeant Slaughter came out, so I was like, all right, so we've got 3 more, which now it's uneven, so now we've got to make sure that over the next couple of them, we even that out again. And then when Quartermaster came, it's like, okay, now we can put one of everything back in there. And all of that was already outlined conceptually, but then it was given to other freelance writers. And then I did have a chance to make sure that everything kind of vibed with my original vision of it. So again, like, there's a lot of my DNA in that book, even though I wasn't one of the writers.
Well, I think, I mean, you have to evaluate them, the two things separately. Like, I mean, as a successful system with lots of options and a technical game guide, I haven't seen any that were particularly, like, none that were bad. I mean, they're all have that sort of piece. But if you want that wink and nod nostalgia aspect of I've read this and it has awakened in me a memory of a very small portion of one part of the cartoon where something weird happens, that's what you get out of it's in the Cobra Codex in the main book are really good examples of that, where it's like, I am accessing little boxes in my brain from when I was like 8 years old that I would never have I would never have looked in that box again if it hadn't been for the fact that I was reading this particular thing. And that isn't going to be for, new players and youngsters and people who don't remember dial-up internet. Like, those people are not necessarily going to get all of that out of it. But for us old fogies who are reading it, it's like, that's the sweet stuff. That's the nostalgia that I picked this book up to read.
Yeah. And see, I honestly, I think you guys both hit on it. That's what was missing from that book, was that vibe. Like, because I remember getting to go, like, when I got that book, one of the first things I'd done was I jumped back to where the big, like, I wanted to go see the Rolling Thunder. I wanted to see the stuff on the Rolling Thunder in that book.
there's nothing in his
And it
file
just
that
didn't have that
indicates
pop and that
like,
flair that I was expecting on a section on the Rolling Thunder. Because I got that thing for Christmas one year, and it was just the most fabulous G.I. Joe vehicle I ever had. You know, it was amazing. And I guess that's what I was looking for. And yeah. But by no means don't think that book's not good. I've got it in my collection and I use it constantly.
I'm good.
Constantly, I'm referencing that book. It is a valuable book.
Essentially all standard.
And I'll also give that book credit that the body art I thought was really clever. That was not something I came up with. It was not on the original outline. But every chapter has like, here's 2,000 words. Have fun with it. So the fact that the body armor is in there, and it's like, oh yeah, if we do, instead of increasing toughness, which we already like, the 2-hit is already very hard to do with the game. So as an alternative, giving it like as bonus health, that works in a game that you want a few more hits and a little less severity to every single hit. I thought it was a really clever design space that was explored there by, I believe that was a Michael Marchenko.
I'd also like, I don't
Or am
see
I
here,
getting
I
his
just want
name?
to beg him band.
Look up in the credits again.
Yeah, he could use
Michael Bramnick, that's it. I don't know who Michael Marchenko is, but it's probably a celebrity that I am name dropping that had nothing to do with this book. Yeah, Michael Bramnick wrote that one. And I know Ivis is the one who decided to put Excalibur in there because Excalibur is featured in one of the episodes of the animated series, and that was a really clever idea.
I do think that was a cute little idea to see that dropped in there.
I think they're going to need.
And at Gen Con this past year, I did new, because it was another crossover adventure, and so I did pre-generated characters, and then I needed a suite of the crossover mix and match ones, because the previous year it was a crossover adventure, but characters were single setting, whereas this one we had the chance to do multiple settings, so I wanted to do a selection of multiple setting ones. One of the characters is literally King Arthur. That like literally is even in the character's name, and the reason is because I could actually give him Excalibur, and using the time travel options from Power Rangers from a Jump Through Time. I was like, all right, here's King Arthur. He's just been physically displaced. He is confused, but he's got a sword and he's good with it. So have fun with that. Apparently, that was the most popular of the pre-gens.
And as a GM, Ryan touched on something I want to touch on there because I GM as well. All these books are great for crossing over and blending and mixing and bringing stuff in.
One last thing
like
for me, there's an auto lock gun.
I've got a game that I'm wanting to run that's basically a Worlds Apart. Remember the episode where Steeler and Clutch and Grunt and all them got pulled through to the alternate world where Cobra had won and G.I. Joe had lost, and yeah, that is that those books have stuff to set that up, play those kinds of settings in.
You have
the magic aspect in My Little Pony. Like, I wasn't a My Little Pony guy at all. Now I just got the My Little Pony books in. I've got 3 My Little Pony books sitting on the right by my chair. But I'm telling
Charles,
you what,
your reaction when I was suggesting picking up My Little Pony as one of the next books for you, you were like, really?
I'm still blown away by that. Like, and so that's one of the things where when I'm trying to drop the, you should be looking at Essence 20. It's like, yeah, it's Power Rangers and G.I. Joe and Transformers and My Little Pony. People go, one of these things just doesn't belong here. Like, I mean, how do you have combat in something where it's like, are they going to hug you to death? Like, what's going on here? It's like battling a Care Bear. But no, I mean, if you look at the materials, they've really some really interesting, scary things that they can do, and it brings the whole magic aspect in. But I just like, if I were to put those toys on a shelf, one would definitely stand out there as not necessarily being tied to there. So I think some of the brilliance of this is that that it ties together properties, which I didn't really think could be tied together. I mean, it's really straight up. I don't understand. So it'd be interesting I don't know if there's anything more, and I'm not asking you to say anything, but where could it go from there? Because I mean, if you've absorbed My Little Pony into there, I mean, you could probably get Strawberry Shortcake or anyone where there's essentially a group with a consistent thing going on. You could make it an Essence 20 property, and that blows my mind. Like, it's something that's been built so widely and so with so much flexibility that you could actually do something like that. It absolutely blows my mind that you can.
I'll plug my blog then, The Essential Build. I really do stress test the system and see just how far we can go with the crossovers. I did one of the Ninja Turtles that are crossing over with He-Man toys, so Leonardo as a He-Man type. I was like, all right, how do I mush these two properties that are not Hasbro properties and not covered by any of the games? How do I make them just using G.I. Joe, Transformers, My Little Pony? A lot of My Little Pony shows up in my blog. So really, it's the book that I have to convince the most people that if you were just looking for more SS20 options, it's the book you need. It kind of like is the final piece to create any of the properties that you can name off the top of your head.
I got to say, it took Ryan. It took, who is it? Pink from the Renegade
Sky
server.
Spy, I mean?
Spy, yeah. Spy was it took Ryan. Spy talked to me constantly. You need to pick the book up. It's a good book. It's got some of the content in there. You're not gonna believe it. Spy was constantly talking to me, but then my fiance is really big into My Little Pony too, so that was just kind of that push, that nod. It's like, okay, I'll get this.
It's probably a good time though to say that they're all available on PDF too, so you don't necessarily have to have it sitting on your bookshelf if that's not
right.
Kind of it doesn't fit with the character of your bookshelf. But
I pre-ordered it. I got it the day you could get it for the Magic rules, and I stress that whenever I tell people I have the My Little Pony core book. I say I bought it for the Magic rules.
That's what we save ourselves to walk.
I am so proud of those Magic rules. I honestly think it is one of the best Magic systems in any role playing game. It is the most dramatic, it is the most how you see Magic in fantasy fiction, and it is how it works in My Little Pony. But most of the time, it's not wizards running out of the spells they've memorized. It's I'm just blasting you until my magical nervous system breaks down, and then I need a break. And that's what the downshift to cast is supposed to replicate. And it's I am so proud of it. I think it is the best thing that I designed in any of the books.
And we've seen it in this game where the magic system's been brought in with Hexblade, with Shoehorn. And I know people who have taken it and brought it over into Power Rangers games to use that in their Power Rangers games and stuff as well. That's one of the things that about this game system, because seriously, I will tell you, my biggest hang up on getting the My Little Pony was, is this content going to really fit in with everything else? Or am I just throwing away $45 for this book that I could use to go grab another book I would like? But you're not throwing your money away on that book. Trust me, that book is awesome.
It all fits together.
Yeah, it really adds in a missing dynamic if you don't have it, I think. Having all those core rule books and everything those core rule books bring in together, I think it's brilliant. It's beautiful.
But also say My Little Pony has the best GMing section of all of the 4 core rule books. People call the field guides the GMing book that you need. That's that kind of information is missing from all the core rule books. But if you're running My Little Pony, it's the only book that really it has all the GMing information. It has a lot of clever tips for how to write stories that are not necessarily about violence, but also where a fight could potentially break out. It had to balance a lot more plates than any of the other settings, and so I spent a lot of extra time making sure that jamming advice and the little subsystems that I invented for it, like the stress. I wish stress was in all of the Essence 20 as an alternate to just straight up damage being the only consequence of failure. Stress is a really good system and really effective for storytelling and inspiring for role playing. Again, I'm going to keep patting myself on the back because there are some things in here that I am a fan of, even knowing full well I'm the guy who wrote them.
I think stress would go a lot farther into incorporating cleverness and willpower. They set up as defenses, but they barely get touched.
Yeah, it's a lot more up to the GM and the players to create the story and the consequences of hitting willpower and cleverness. And because of that, some people run it by the book and they will then dump those 2 stats for if there's 1 or 2 skills in those stats that they will focus on, and then they will dump the rest. And My Little Pony really encourages more rounded characters because there's a consequence to taking too much stress and getting knocked out or just stressed out or wiped out.
I want to ask.
So no roles for the universe is set up as a G.I. Joe and Transformers mashup. because that's
Yes.
what the
Not
Energon
always
universe
be
is.
the case,
But I took
things-
advantage of
So,
the fact that
this is essentially like
the Renegade system not only has GI Joe and
you land
Transformers
in
all in
Indiana.
one system, which is
Okay.
what
You
made
face
me
south,
lean
you
into
see the
using
guy's
it.
house,
But it also
and
has Power Rangers and My Little
and
Pony.
everything's dark.
And I
behind
tried
you,
to incorporate
less than
that into
50
the
yards
campaign.
behind
You
is
guys
the mountain.
blew right past it in the
Rather,
next
like,
episode.
50
There's actually a Power Rangers guest
line
star
that
moment in
This
there.
is going up to the
And
summit. You're
you didn't do it.
5,000 feet
In episode 2?
give or take,
Yeah.
Yeah.
somewhere right-
We had something going on.
Oh, I remember that. I know who it was. It
Right out
was. I know exactly where it
doesn't
was.
have a lot of depth.
And when the point, I think, when we got to where we would have been talking to her is where I had to dip out in that episode, or to them.
And it's just kind of
Yeah, no spoilers, but yeah.
Yeah, no spoilers.
Watch for it.
I
next
can't.
week.
Actually, I can't remember who. I remember a person. That's it.
Skill check. The skills in this game.
But
But the point in time,
enough that you can maybe kind of.
I was just saying, Eric, you're not shy about bringing in guest stars and guest things and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, where does that come from? Like, how is that? It's great. It adds a lot to this when you kind of figure out what it is that you're against. But where does it come from?
It's always been my hyper focus of fandoms. My fandoms exist on a wide scale. I'm not necessarily the guy for any one specific thing, but I'm fandom of everything, including My Little Pony. I could participate in it and contribute to a discussion, even though it's not my thing. And I'm like that with tons of IPs and movies and cartoons and books and everything. And one of my favorite things to do is to cross them over. There's nothing cooler in D&D than having Drizzt show up. No matter what world you're in. And as soon as my players started, rewarding that with liking my sessions and coming back, then it just kind of became my thing. We touched on it a little bit, but I have a reputation in my local playgroups that sometime during any game that I'm running, you're going to bump into either a Xenomorph or a Predator.
Yeah, and
they're iconic villains that are always fun to have.
All right, so let's go around.
I also really appreciate the way you present it, because you don't just say, here's a predator. You'll usually present it as, here's something weird, and we explore it, and it's all contextualized. And you'll usually let us speculate for a little bit and then throw a picture at it. And by then we're already in our characters' heads of we've never seen a Predator movie. We don't know what the lore of these characters are, and it really helps make the scene exciting. In fact, there's 3 moments of excitement. There's what's going on? Oh, I know what that is, but my character doesn't. And then my character catches up to what I know about this.
I do have to say, the last cameo that we had with our alts when we was in on all of our alt characters, I was getting worried that we was all gonna fucking die.
Similar to how things black out under military.
I was worried. That was a fight and a half.
You guys actually blew through it a little smoother than I thought you were going to. A little smoother than I was hoping you were going to. I wanted it to be a little bit more of a conflict, but he didn't wind up doing much of anything.
Well, you also nerfed its defenses at some point when you realized you were just feeding us to this guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Aaron Aaron's character and my character, he was playing stealth mode, right?
Yeah.
Stealth mode and Mongoose were just getting ate up.
I don't know if it's somebody cut the power.
Because we were the two that was up in combat, because we were the only two that could really get up in that kind of combat and engage. And we were just getting ripped apart.
I wish I had Hardman with me. And
oh man, I wish I had Reaper with me. It was like, good God, man.
Display that I have here. So, Eric, what do you do?
Might have regular and alt crossover at some point, and that would be a formidable team.
All of that information, nothing has any power. There's no
That'd be a
peripheral
fun one.
lights, but even though it's
because honestly, it's been basically A team, B team. Really, is the way we've ran them so far.
Yeah,
kind of blocked behind the dentist office.
I mean, we haven't mixed at all, have we? We almost mixed the last time, and then I ended up going with Shoehorn, my alt character, and
you can kind of hear the faint shuffling of footsteps, like they're walking in the
That'll be
road.
interesting. We'll get to that.
Or something. and you're vaguely aware.
Yeah, because that can lead to some really interesting dynamics between the other characters too.
It indicates that there are a couple of people.
My two are really they're again not two sides of the same coin. They're like entirely different currencies in entirely different banks on entirely different sides of the world. Like it is, they're as far apart as they possibly could be.
They are together,
and that's also joyous to play. Yeah, it's
for everyone to look forward to. The reason there are alt characters.
No detail in the darkness. If there maybe.
I also appreciate. So, Erik, right at the beginning, you said all the source books are open, and of course, the first thing I was like, do I make a magical character? Because that would be cool. But it really was sold as this is a G.I. Joe game where everything is available. And so I was like, I'm going to go with a little more traditional G.I. Joe character. I love the Rocketeer focus. I'm going to go with that direction. And I think we kind of all showed up with the same thing in that we were all more or less single setting characters. And then when the alts were opened up, it was like, all right, now I'm getting weird.
There's no danger.
They were all very
the alt I didn't go with was a full-on dragon.
Nice.
With that was basically like had the ability of torch from the Cobra Codex. So he was a dreadnought flamethrower with actual literal as a dragon. So that was going to be fun, but I'm like, nah, that's going to make stealth missions and then interacting with the public very difficult because it's very hard to, as a dragon, do that sort of thing. So
I've got my body armor.
Now you got me wanting to make like my version of Spike from My Little Pony because I have learned enough about My Little Pony that I too can carry a conversation. But now you talk about a dragon. Now I'm sitting here going, oh, I want to make Spike.
Did you order the rulebook through Renegade? Because it's part of the Baby Dragon Origin is part of the bonus material you can get.
The what of the what?
It's in bonus material.
Yeah. So
yeah.
When you order through Renegade, you get access to a bunch of bonus material PDFs, and the Baby Dragon Origin is one of the ones for My Little Pony.
There hasn't been enough.
Yep, I ordered the bundle pack through Renegade.
Okay.
Yeah, I ordered that bundle pack, and then I ordered the Stories of the Seasons.
Okay, cool. I didn't work on that one. I really haven't done much reading through it, so it's probably the Essence 20 book I know the least about.
Yeah, and I picked that one up because, like I said, I really didn't know My Little Pony, and it said it had like contents on like all their different festivals and events and stuff. So I figured, getting to know the My Little Pony world more, that seemed like the one to kind of go with.
Okay, so that's information.
But Knights of Canterlot is next up.
Oh man, Knights of Canterlot is amazing. It is one of the only books that I am jealous I didn't get to work on.
Yeah, and it looks like it's got an amazing magic section in that book too.
Yeah, I've taken some of Shoehorn. I should not have named both my characters S names. Yeah, I've taken some of Shoehorn's spells from that section as well.
Down the street towards.
And I've already used it in a couple of iconic builds, even though it's a very new book.
Okay.
So, Erik, how do you manage all that? Like, how do you build threats that can literally have to survive against all of the things that all of Essence 20 can possibly bring to it?
Well, I'm going to give a disappointing answer. I don't pay any attention to your builds. I just build the monsters. And if needed to, like the last bad guy that we fought, I had to kind of tweak down because I made it a little too strong. But I shoot for being a pain in the butt to 5 experienced combatants.
It doesn't seem to be.
There's 4 of you, and then you always come up with something I don't think of, and that's another guy. So if I can make it a threat to 5 combatants, then I have done my job. And you guys are good enough in play, and I'm good enough to kind of adjust on why it can still be a tense encounter, and we don't have to TPK everybody if I really have other plans.
Yeah.
I love that there's a 5th player. The 5th player is Chaos.
Pretty much.
Very much like that philosophy. That is very cool.
Yeah. They're like,
I mean, when you think about it, he's spot on with us. We do bring a 5th player of Chaos to the table.
I've been a game master since I was 11, and I'm 52, so it's been 40 years. And I haven't seen it all, but I'm pretty close. And if there's one consistent thing with players of role-playing games, is that you cannot predict everything that they're going to do.
Finesse or an infiltration.
I've talked to you guys about it a lot, but I taught my son that his very first game of D&D when he was a game master. He plotted everything out. These big old storylines and all this. And my character was a rogue arcane trickster. And the first campaign, I bullshit my way all the way up to the main door, the main bad guy. With a one of the guys. I'm sitting there, the gods are angry with you. And I'm rolling like 19s and 20s. One of my companions do little, magical tricks on the side, make it look like he's changing things. And back door opens up. I get right to the main door, the main bad guy, and I roll a 1. In there, I start rolling 1. Oh, shit. But he's like, hey, what are you doing, Dad? You walked in. I'm like, oh. What are you guys doing? But he's like, yeah, my dad taught me not to plan too much because that's one thing. Yeah, one thing you need to learn as a game master is you don't plan too much because as soon as you do, your players are going to screw you.
Yeah.
Or should I wait?
I know where I want to start. I know where I want to start. I know where I want to end. The middle is hurting.
All right.
Yes.
Going to lock down the front door.
Honestly, that's how I GM too. That's my GM style. Like, I know an idea of where I want to take the players. I pull up I pull up my books and my PDF files that's got a selection of different threats that I can throw at them, and then we get into it and see what the hell I got to throw at these guys to make it interesting for them.
Yeah.
Well, we're already inside, are we not?
I mean, Erik nails the timing, though, is really where he wants to get to. We tend to get there. I can only think of one example where the curveball that we threw ended up throwing that timeline off, where it was, heading to a very specific conclusion with a very specific cliffhanger heading forward with it. I think that, for the listeners at home who are really out there this time, as opposed to just made up in my head, you are going to notice that it is a cliffhanger from one to the next, and you'll be cursing Aaron for saying these are only monthly, because it will be very, very challenging to wait that 30 days until you find out how it is resolved. And I mean, it's only, I think, 2 weeks between ours, and I am often going, I really want to know how that gets resolved. I really, really want to know how that gets resolved. And so, yeah, this December has been particularly torturous of us because we have actually missed a game session or two. And what's happening? So I'm hoping that translates well to a listening experience as well as the playing experience.
Once you get some things situated like situated better, I may go back to these bi-weekly, but yeah, for now.
The front of the house, the west side of the house, and the back of the house.
On a schedule.
No other exits on those 3 sides.
The only way there would be a secret exit would be through the basement, right? If you had a tunnel. There's no tunnel.
I'm just very excited to be able to hear it.
I'm going to do
Erik, going back to when you design threats, do you use the threat design rules or do you eyeball it?
Come around the.
I use finsters as a base.
Okay.
And once I kind of get close, I eyeball the final touches that I think needs to make it a little tougher or more threatening, I guess.
Okay, that's a
that makes sense.
But situational awareness lets me add a 1 to that.
I like Finsters. Finsters is a great book for threat generating. It is really good for that.
Probably
and yes, I got attacked by my dog there. She came in from going out.
Has a basement because it's
an attack. I thought it was love.
It was forceful love. She's got to always come in and give me a hug as soon as she gets done from going outside.
Basic architectural knowledge, you would presume that there.
I'm actually sort of in the background, but listening to what's going on, and it reminded me of something else that I've really enjoyed about this is that we're really good with failed rules.
So there's
both tying them into the narrative and not getting salty about them, because they are part of the story. And we've blown some really would have been great to have gotten a higher number calls here, and I think everybody rolls with that fairly well. And it actually becomes some of the most interesting stuff to listen to. Maybe not the best feeling when you're experiencing it, but as I was listening to this, it was like, okay, and we're going to go this, and it's a 5.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
I remember I remember there was one night, no matter what it was on a combat roll, I couldn't hit anything. And being one of our main combatants on the team,
Try not to kick.
I was just like, oh man, I'm feeling useless tonight. But I rolled with it. It made it for a really fun, interesting night.
Some of the best stories I have for role-playing games are all the ones in which my characters died horribly.
Yeah. Morphine shot or something out of the first aid.
Just an opportunity to make another character.
Yeah.
Tranquilizers, little combat cocktail, knock you out.
There are easy victories, and then there are good stories.
Yeah,
They're never the same thing.
Cocktail. Good night. Good night.
All right.
So you get up the stairs, no problem.
Never want to lose a character, but sometimes you make a better character.
Be quiet.
Yeah.
You're a little louder.
Yeah.
Sometimes part of the game. I mean, sometimes
But
it
it's
happens.
also 3 o'clock in the morning.
Now I know, there's the cliche of just making the same character again, but I cannot imagine doing that. There's so many characters you could be making. Why just do the same thing again?
No, I think honestly, if Reaper would go down, if I decide to continue playing like a medic for the team, I would do a technician. I would probably run a character more like Lifeline and be, not the very, because Reaper's very combat driven too. Reaper's combat driven until he needs to be a medic.
Yes.
I just rolled an infiltration
With Classified, I don't think I will ever play any character ever like that again. The audience listening at home are hearing this kind of iffy character that's you don't really get much out of who he is going to become from who he is right now. But the arc and the character and everything like that, I can't imagine ever having more fun with this kind of a build than I am having right now, and it would be frankly disappointing to try and copy it. It's an incredible experience to have lived this adventure through this character's eyes. But I can't imagine him existing in any other circumstance and being better or being any kind of improvement over the experience that I've had. So I would never play him again, but I have loved every moment of playing him.
We kind of talked about it earlier, but I think Classified just would not work as well if Erik was not the GM. You honestly play him like a GM PC.
Yeah.
Or something. Maybe it's 3 bedrooms.
And I swear to God, so many times, like I said earlier, so many times I would swear up and down you and Erik have been talking and plotting behind because something like scheming on something, like you guys had a little something you was doing behind the scenes, because the way it would just unfold was too perfect. It was like you guys had planned it, like just the way it would unfold. And honestly, that's a big shout out to Erik as a GM for being able to grab those things, run with those things, adapt on the fly, adjust the story, but also make it feel like it is totally completely seamless, not like he's making it up on the fly, like he had that plan the whole time.
Yes.
The benefit of being the forever DM since you were 11 years old, I suspect.
Thank you.
Aaron, can I get a time check on what's left in the episode?
I just want to make sure we had that discussion.
Josh, can you take a look and see
The first door on the right.
Hold on, I have to get up and run over there and check.
Josh,
Oh, we can't just put it up on screen?
The standard.
Oh, you know what?
Oh, yeah.
It's on a different computer.
No, I got
it's on a different computer.
Nice desk.
Yeah, there's still a chunk left. So, unfortunately, coincidentally, my wife is not home yet, and I might have to bow out early. Sorry about that, guys. I got like 5 more minutes if we can.
That is authentic to this listening experience, because you actually were here for way more of this one than you were for the first one. But,
Oh, yeah. Looking at that
I don't know. Anything you
blue.
want, if you only
See
got
where it
5
gets
minutes.
narrow the first time? I think that's where I bowed out.
He is not in there in any way, shape, or form.
So, if you only have 5 minutes left, what else would you like to say about this episode and the kind of the experience of what people are going to expect to see coming up in the next ones?
Well, I can say I appreciate that it's been recorded and released, because now I know what I missed. And it is fun listening to you guys. And actually, I missed Stout. I didn't. Like, he leaves the group fairly soon after this, I believe. And yeah, this episode kind of makes me realize there was a lot of potential there, both in like the build and the dynamic with the rest of the group. So kind of, it's kind of sad. But as far as what to expect from Scaffold, no, I think it's. I don't know how well it registers that Scaffold is way in over his head and just kind of improvising a lot of the time. But by the time you see what I can do with the character in combat, and I do kind of like
a couple of like
I bend some of the rules. So technically, I do requisition the element jet that I use, but the way I describe it is usually that I'm just turning around and it's the backblast from my jetpack. He's doubling as a flamethrower. And then sometimes I'll take a different, I'll requisition a different element for the element jet. And so suddenly my backpack's running on lightning, I guess. So, but yeah, the way the character plays in combat is really fun. And I'm extremely mobile and can really
You are now aware of the people
take
that
out multiple threats when
saw earlier.
given the right
Again,
opportunity.
there's no
And
person
something that I
that
was not originally intending, my drone, Bithiani
they
Tiniani,
look like they're drunk.
was conceptualized as
Kind of
a utility
nosing
drone. And
down
then
the
as I was building him,
stairs
I realized there was a
10 minutes
redundancy in
of
my
his
build,
time to
and that
walk
I might
down
as
the
well just
block.
make him a combat drone. And so
Tell how many there are
the
approximately.
theme of the drone is still that he's just a flying toolbox, but he is a flying toolbox with a
Third guy
laser
kinda
that's
come down
blasting
behind
everybody.
them, but it's probably 2.
Report back. I have 2 or 3.
And it's some
unknowns.
really spectacular moments. Like you could,
Yeah.
everyone, wait till you see this kind of moments, because they're, I don't know, very, very dynamic and very interesting. So yeah, there's some really good stuff to come. I mean, it's already happened. Not even the stuff that's to come for us. So
Right.
Was there anything you guys wanted to talk to me about before I bow out?
I just want to say I think I'm really looking forward to seeing where Scaffold's character goes, where Shoehorn goes, where we're going to take all these different characters.
No, I'm at
Shoehorn is
it's
not
been
a character designed with an arc. He's just weird.
Yeah.
front door.
And like Mongoose was just thrown together, and like I realized today, like, oh man, I really never put a big background
You're
into
10
it.
feet away from Hardman. You just happen to be on the other side.
There is definitely an episode where I remember
You have a clear view of
a
the
switch happening in
living
Scaffold
room
where he's just
and,
kind of
like,
resigned
dining
himself. But
area.
for a
So
little while, he's kind of getting a little
kind of
more
like
and
one
more
big room that he's
just
divided up.
depressed that the way
Living room
he
is
understood the
nicely
world was
decorated.
not the way it
Not
actually
every
works,
room
and
as much as you
is
can
just
tell,
resigned to go along with whatever beachhead
Yeah,
and
it's
classified are pointing him
the
at.
wall. There's
well, and
like
he had real Scully energy at the beginning.
Yes.
Right, like to the balance out the moldering that Classified was doing. It was like, no, that's not real. Like, yes, that's not real. Wink. And he's like, what are
Stop
you doing?
winking.
Why are you?
Hardman is like 10 feet behind you on
Well,
the other side.
I think when we get to what is it, episode 2, where we realize we meet some things that we weren't really expecting. When we
Yeah,
really
that's
get
2 or
into
3.
when we really get into it.
At this point, I have probably taken the flashlight and clipped it to my harness,
Okay.
and have both.
All right, well, I'm going to bow out with that, guys. So thanks again for this, and I'll see you on the boards, and I look forward to when we finally got our next game in.
Thank you for playing
Have a good
this.
one, Ryan.
Work
All
on
right,
this game.
Aaron, am I going to screw up all your layout if I just leave?
No, you just
Okay.
couldn't.
All right,
sir.
take it easy, guys.
Good night.
I got a 13 with a crit.
All right, cool. Now we can talk about it.
Nice. Okay.
All right. So,
Now we discuss Ryan.
Love Ryan.
Ryan's a piece of shit. No,
We love Ryan, and we all know it. So there's no sense
yes.
just saying otherwise.
Just need a quick
We
clarification.
wouldn't
Oh.
be here were it not for Ryan.
Any of the
Literally,
dice you were
yes.
rolling, that
Yeah,
was
that's absolutely true. I wouldn't have met any of you
Okay,
guys if it wasn't for Ryan.
We'll have to hit
Actually, it would be Aaron just sitting here on his own.
like,
Yeah, I'm used to that, so nothing new there.
okay.
So, like, if it was a
Yeah,
15,
no, Ryan is working on
and
this
I
game.
rolled
I
a
wouldn't have met
12,
Eric, and
just because I crit doesn't mean I made it. I didn't
I'm
make
flattered
it.
Ryan is playing in my game and that he stayed in my game. And I'm keeping it interesting enough for the author of the rule book to stick around. So,
yes,
Yeah, I remember finding out when you told me that Ryan was going to be in the game. I'm like,
Oh,
that's
You
cool.
can pick the sticks.
That's really, really cool to be able to sit and play with one of the creators of the game.
yes.
It's like playing D&D with Gary
That is all
Syjax,
very
right? Like it is just
interesting.
you're 100% there with the person who knows. And if I were Eric, I'd be like sweating. Not that Eric sweats, but I mean, at this, it's just it is very interesting to have. Like if you've got some GM bullshit that you have to do in order to make it an interesting story, it's like, am I going to get called on that? So I that would be stress for me. But Eric, obviously you manage it well, and it's very clear that you do.
There was a couple of moments where I was like, that's not really a rule, and he's going to say something, but I don't know if he missed it or if he understood what was going on. But I've had a couple of rules corrections from just about all of you, but I've never really been called out on anything.
All right, let's group up then.
Okay. Take you
For me, no.
I
still don't know what I'm
doing. You want to come in?
Well, I think it's a thing that the system is still early enough in its development that we're still all trying to really learn the rules.
They're walking from east
and yeah, like why we might call something out. We're not like bashing or we're not going all like rules lawyer or anything like that. We're just, I think it's more for us all just trying to clarify and understand where we're at. And also, some of it we run into stuff that we have to make up some house rules on the run because we've never addressed anything that there's maybe a rule for this.
Well, so jump into one of the big things. I think it is. It is supposed to have Erik as a player in my game. Oh,
yeah. Eric's going to be a player in one of my games too.
He's going to destroy you. He knows everything that messes up a GM, so he will destroy you.
Dave from the chat says he's supposed to have Erik as a player in his game. That'll be some pressure for him.
You guys hadn't investigated.
But so one of the rules that one of the house rules, and I think we cover it. I don't know if we cover it within this one, but it is covered fairly early into it. Is the no crit on a 20 rule? Felt really bad to me as a D&D player, as a basically anything with a D20 player. It felt well. I was like, no, are you sure? Are you sure? And when you're saying that, the person who's the creator of the book, you're like, I know you're sure, but are you sure? So it felt wrong to not have a consequence to a 1 or a benefit to a 20, and so I think
that's like the only time I've ever told Ryan that no, we're going to do it my way.
And not paying any attention.
Yeah,
and I think that everyone. Sorry, go ahead, Josh.
Most people.
I was going to say, and that's one of those things where I think everyone just said, "Yeah, this just feels good."
You want to make some sort of
natural
delta check just to make their.
Well, that's like Ryan realizes that even though he didn't help create the game, that we are going to, everyone's going to have their own house rules, and as long as it doesn't break the system, we're going to do.
There's home rules to every game.
Yeah.
The game is made to fit the table.
The basement.
And I think that's just part of being a GM is there's going to be rules you're going to keep, and there's going to be some rules you're just going to throw out, and there's going to be some rules you're going to make your own. And that's just, like you said, what fits the table.
Going, so we've got like a big glow stick.
It's true. Do you want to adjust what
you're doing? Erik Smith thinks it's sweetheart.
When you open the door, his light will cast maybe not flashlight level light onto the stairwell.
Yeah, you'll be like,
I do got to say though. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Charles.
Go ahead.
I'm expecting.
I was just going to say, as far as Erik being a player in my game that I'm going to be running here, hopefully after the first of the year, I'm looking forward to having him in there as a player. I think it's going to be fun to flip the dynamic and be the GM and have him as the player.
Yeah, I don't get a chance to play a lot, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and see, that was the thing for me. This is the first time I've got to really be a player in an Essence 20 game because I've always been the one GMing them.
I've been forever DM for about 20 years. 30 years. So this is my first actual chance to play a player, and I think that's part of, I guess, one of the reasons why Classified and the GM get along so well is because we're both devoted to the story, right? Like it's really, it's more than the character; it's about the story.
Mm-hmm.
And I think anyone who kind of looks at this from a GM perspective has got to be devoted to the story. Otherwise, you're just reading things off a page and. I couldn't imagine being a campaign where somebody's doing rules is written off of a module. Like it just wouldn't, I don't think it would, there's no one who can write a module not knowing the table where it could be as good an experience as a fully kind of customized and understood. These are the players. This is what they're interested in a campaign. I couldn't run one, and I certainly wouldn't want to participate in one.
Do a search of the place.
My Saturday night or my Friday night game, my GM. There was one of the players that was very much. Well, that's not the rules. Or the rules don't. Everyone's like, well, we
while he's doing that,
modify them as we need,
make sure that
as we
there's
need
not
to then
really
in the
traps
game because
and
they're just
danger and
too much. Well, the rules say this.
or
I'm
dungeon
doing
gear
this.
about to explode. Who the hell knows?
So I can enjoy.
I got a 20 with a
Yeah.
crit on the 4.
Speaking of rules, I've missed this segue a couple times now. For each episode, I'm putting together the homebrew rules that we come up with on the fly, the monsters that aren't threats in books that I have to make up, and any other special circumstances. And publishing we're calling it the Energon Protocols debrief, and
So,
that'll be out like the Monday after an episode debuts. So
Stout and Reaper are kind of taking.
And I understand there will be file cards for you to clip and save.
Yes, of course. There must be. G.I. Joe.
And I'm going to say, for all those people out here from the customizing community, I'll be very disappointed if I don't see, some Reaper and Hardman and Classified and, absolutely jetpack full scaffold characters. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what the community could do with those, because we do have kind of some pictures, like barely, we don't use AI art. So it is very much what we can use with the tools that we have. But I really do think that there are some good, some good opportunities for the customizing committee and community and all of the artistic communities. If you're out there and watching us, please send that in, because I'd love to see it. It'd be fantastic.
Absolutely. I'm working on a Reaper kit bash right now in the classified series. Honestly, what I'd like to do is I'd like to end up doing a kit bash of all the players, all the characters, and that way, I've got the squad sitting there. That'd be nice.
You just push it in.
Yeah, Hardman's the easiest one to do. I've already got him stocked right off of the shelf.
The Hardman cheated, so.
But Eric, it's nice that you're providing people that so they can see that this is not. We're not voice actors. This isn't plotted. This isn't a weird thing where we're trying to just act out something and pretend we're doing something else. There are real rules. There's real threats, and being able to share that information with the people who are listening, I think, would probably be very interesting to them to see what those things are, and if they want to use them themselves, so much the better.
Deal with that how you will.
All right, everyone. This is why I'm here. Watch the doors.
Yep. And then I know, Eric, you have put out on some of the different groups a massive amount of different contacts for different characters. You've also put out stuff for threats. You put out a lot of content that allows people to really flesh out their game into whatever area they want to go into. And like, that's information that you guys really want to, look into, I'm pretty sure we could probably put something up somewhere where people can find that information.
It's all up on the Renegade Facebook group right now. Everything I publish goes there. If not first, then, second.
I'm going to do situational awareness.
Okay, Reaper, go ahead.
And they're very big on using that tool to integrate with the community and interact with the community. So it's probably a really good place to go if you're interested in learning more about this sort of stuff. So Aaron's pretty good about putting links to everything important in the actual podcast. So it'll be interesting to maybe include that so that people can go in and see Eric's the really good work that he's put together in those ones. Some of them I like, some of them I'm like. In this one, they introduced Bill Docker. Still don't like him. You've created a very good, unlikable character. So I appreciate the technical perfection of that. But
I got to say, I did not create him. He's from the IDW G.I. Joe run.
Is he?
Yeah.
I can't believe they went there. Okay, yeah, that's great.
Apparently, the Joe's lost funding, so they hired him as a requisition officer to make do until they got their funding back or something. I haven't followed the storyline. I was introduced to him through a mutual friend, and the moment I laid eyes on him, I fell in love with him.
Heavy duty, like
I have noticed you do have the ability to pull from a lot of, again, esoteric, I don't know if it's a word I just made up, but how Ryan has kind of that encyclopedia knowledge of all the weird little things in the 80s. You seem to be able to pull stuff from everywhere and anywhere, and that certainly comes out in later things. How are you, where do you get the inspiration or even the resources to find out where all of these things were that nobody's ever heard of?
Kind of at the bottom.
I don't know. It goes back to the threats thing from earlier. I like mashing up things. You know, there's nothing more perfect to me than to put a xenomorph in a game as an antagonist where a xenomorph could never be. You know, because of IP rules or copyright infringements or. It's
scratches and dents and claw marks.
And it's not just xenomorphs. It's everything. And I like using everything. I don't like being limited by anything except what makes sense for the story.
That's above my pay grade.
Well, I will say that for the fans who stick it out and are here for 8-9 episodes, 8-9 months from now, you will engage with the funniest Transformer I have ever had any experience with whatsoever. And I still, when I'm trying to describe what this game is and how weird it gets, that is my go-to to explain how weird it is. Because you have found the craziest Transformer story ever and incorporated it, and it is brilliant.
Which will let you go quicker. You can use science at 2.
So I did ask my fiance to run back to the office and grab.
You can still make it work.
This is
I have a computer.
just my Reaper kit bash that I'm working so far. I literally just took an Airborne and stuck a snow job head on there with some goggles. But I'm going to be yanking this vest off, putting a different combat vest on, and some other gear that I'm going to be ordering in for him. But this is going to be my Reaper kit bash.
Can help out a little with that. Reaper,
Yeah.
what would you like your
2 to 5 down.
Yep.
Mine would be anything.
And actually, I think I might even have pretty much all the stuff for classified. I think I'm going to take a movie Snake Eyes body and see if I can't find a face that would fit appropriate.
Sample taking kits.
If I can maybe find another breaker, use breaker's head.
Yeah, there's.
If you're looking for it, the face that I use for him, if you're looking for it in 3.5, and I don't know if they've branched into classified scale figures, but Marauder Toys has a lot, like they have a whole customizable line of figures and specific. So if you're looking for a specific head style or head type, they're really good for that. But I don't know if they branched into classified. Maybe this will be a wake up call for Marauder John to go, oh wow, I should really be making these if he isn't already. But
like an acre.
There are a lot of resources now that have never been available to customizing community to do things.
Yes, sir.
Let's not forget about you.
Yeah, one thing I do want to get in the future is a resin printer for doing,
You've taken to
stuff
culling them.
for these with the high detail and stuff.
Still not paying any attention to you. You're crouched down pretty good.
I definitely would like to, like I said,
like the eastern edge
get the
of
whole
property
squad
line,
put together.
and then one of them stopped.
And that's including all the guys like Bill Docker and Hexblade and those guys, all of our support team too.
You only have a little bit of moonlight to kind of
Really gotta get them
know
known,
that
guys.
there's people there. And
I don't
We got
like
what?
NPCs. I don't like having, it's too easy to have 2 NPCs sit there and have a conversation with themselves for exposition. And that's I don't like doing that. So
and then
Yeah.
most of the time I just pretend they're not there.
referring to it as a she, just because it's a little bit smaller than the other, kind of gives you that vibe. There's a man and a woman.
Yeah, as a GM, that's always kind of a weird, awkward, you're trying to have a conversation between 2 NPCs and you're just sitting there talking to yourself.
Larger being takes a couple more steps forward and then kind of notices.
I'm going to do something weird and talk about what's going on in the background right now. This is an excellent example of something that that Ryan talked about, and I kind of want to point out here. It's, one of the standard things in horror is never show the monster too early, right? And so, Erik, you're very good at slowly introducing this concept and slowly making it there. Like the drunk couple that we're talking about right now,
Nope, you're around there somewhere.
we knew they were zombies, right? But in the story, our characters couldn't possibly have known that, and so it'd be as Hardman's sort of staring down this weird threat that he doesn't understand. You can feel kind of that creeping doom sense as the thing's getting closer. No, Hardman doesn't know about it, but the audience is certainly going to know, oh shit, this is coming at him. And he has no idea what is coming at him because he's never seen anything like that before. I think it was really well done. Right off the hop, right? That, these are not, and the zombie jumps out and scares you kind of things. It's creeping doom that comes up on you and builds that kind of suspense. And that was one of the very cool things about this. There's a lot of cool things about it. One of the very cool things about this was that it was not jump scare. Stuff got introduced too quickly. It was a slow burn and a slow boil to get to the bad guys, and that was really enjoyable to listen to.
Yeah, and the thing that I liked about it was at the same time who was outside. It was Aaron and Stowe and Scaffold. Scaffold already left. He wasn't with us. So
Aaron and Stout
is Aaron and the other Erik were outside with their characters while Classified and Reaper was doing the investigation inside. And we was gathering stuff. And this is that first time that you talked about where Classified's really like, I don't really like this guy. He's in here and he shouldn't be. He needs to just go away and let me do my thing.
I'm sorry, quick clarification, Eric.
And Reaper's just like, nope, this has got some medical value to it. I need to be here because,
so they passed the house.
I'm the medical officer. I'm the medical expert on this squad. So
they made it to the eastern property line.
And then we get to find out that Stoat had certain abilities over and above that. I don't know whether or not it got super clearly stated at any point, but he was cheating like hell by using magic. And that came out very organically, and nobody actually said it. And it's easy to miss too if you weren't paying attention for it. I missed it the first time around. I caught it the second time I listened to the podcast. That's why he has this record. Oh, that's it. Is that he's just cheating? And he mentions at some point enhancements, and I was like, oh no, he's not talking about that. He's using drugs or anything like that. He's literally enhancing himself with magic, and so I thought that was a really neat little character bit.
I didn't catch that it was magic because I haven't got to listen to this through the whole, a second time. I didn't catch that it was magic. I caught the enhancements, and I was expecting to see. I was expecting as the character, we spent more time with that character to be revealed that he had been like altered and enhanced and modified in different ways, is what I was kind of expecting to see come out in the future. And I really do hate the fact that he wasn't able to come back into the group because we lost that other player to mesh with, but also at the same time the 4 players have really formed that squad even in his absence.
Acknowledge your presence, really, other than they are heading directly toward you.
I'm going to reach down and turn on my armor, my
personal shield.
Thank you. My mind turned off.
Here we go.
Does that emit light?
Not necessarily.
It doesn't say.
It's it's a. You can see Ryan wasn't there, so we couldn't ask him.
Well, it has to emit light because you can see it.
I think we just give a light.
Right. A lot of light.
As we talked about.
Right. It's one of those weird things. It's like, what does this really look like?
Talk about size device.
So this is Hardman's moment where. It's like stuff that he's that first line of defense. He's the wall, and then the zombies come over and start to try and breach it. Now you're never really in any threat at this, but you're trying to kill things that should die, and they aren't.
That's something new.
Okay, so it's.
And if you followed Hardman's adventures, I guess I should ask this. Is this the same Hardman? Like, is this an alternate reality version of that same Hardman from the first campaign, or is this?
Yeah, no.
Okay. So it's not. There's no continuity.
Yeah, no. This is a alternate reality version.
Like black, and their skin
would
be like almost.
Hardman never made it.
They've been shot.
Hardman from the first campaign made it to. We were level 14 or 15 when
Like,
by the time we
somebody
stopped,
cut your scalp and they've
we
been
started over at level 3 for this
for
one.
the last
So,
20 minutes, almost to the point where it's hard to distinguish.
This hard man didn't have to
on the
battle
face
Gijoe and didn't have to
because
face the
liquid
fact that he's the only one that survived when
presumably
most of us
dripped down
died.
onto their face is blocking features. You can't make out anything because it goes from the white of their skin to the black of the blood.
Restart. I really like the character, so
They are both covered in blood, like they're wounded.
and
which
it's
would
good. It adds a thread of
Can I
continuity.
see their hands?
They have gloves on, but they have hands.
Well, you know,
This is
sorry,
a
my question is,
this is also a really good piece is when you're describing the zombies that we eventually decide not to call zombies, I think. But when you're describing it, it's not gory, but it definitely gets the point across. Like there's no, it's not gross, but it is very clear that what we're dealing with is, something that is undead. And it's something else I appreciate you're going to hear over and over again is that the action scenes are not like maybe they're over the top, but they're not over the top. The descriptions are exactly what they need to be and no more than that. So I had no problem with that and Aaron's quick hand on the sensor bar when we pull up the F word. And to say that, listening to this again, I'm like, yeah, the other guys swear quite a bit, and then they get beat down. No, I swore more than anyone else.
Are you sure?
I thought I would not have put money on that one, but no, we were counting.
I would lay down money. I'm the one that gets the most censors in any episode. I've already dropped the F-bomb once during this and didn't realize it. I caught it after I said it.
Well, see,
I would have bet serious money I was the one with the most cuss words in any episode.
I had a very accurate measure for that in that I was listening to it with my kid. And so, every time I swore got called out. And so it became a count. And it was me. I was shocked by that. But between that, I would not have any difficulty having a young person, maybe not a young child, but a 12-year-old or a 14-year-old listening to this, because it is not ridiculously over the top gory. It is not ridiculously over the top violence, despite the fact that maybe some things escalate without spoiling. But at the end of it, it's I think that's very well done and very tastefully done. And you start to hear that even from the first episode.
And even when we do use foul language and stuff in the games, we're not nasty or raunchy or anything with it. It's more like what you'd probably hear a soldier cussing during combat is really what it is.
Appropriate and needed.
It's usually a lot of oh shit, oh god, we're all gonna die, followed by a lot of other words.
You can tell from your MMA experience when he falls, it's going to be to the right, except he doesn't fall. You keep
that particular line that we just listened to. That was one that that impressed me. Is you can tell from your MMA experience, right? So put it into context that when he falls, he's going to fall this way. And I never would have thought of that as being kind of a thing that you would know because you were in combat. And then when he doesn't fall that way, right? That's a good indicator. Like that was a really good description to me that put it into the context of the character that I would not have thought of because I'm not the character and because I don't have the character's context. So I thought that was a particularly good one.
Like he's drunk.
I was just going to tell the boys that hey, these guys are really.
I'm not going to say I've always been good at it, but I make a point of for descriptions to put myself in the point of view of the character, so I can describe the drunk couple and not have them be zombies, because you have no context for zombies. You see people stumbling down the road, they must be drunk.
If you were
right, because the situation,
that's where the framing comes in, and that also adds to the suspense because the audience knows, we know, characters don't know.
But you're at a loss.
Right. It wasn't like you sent us into, hey guys, you were sending you into a place that's infested by zombies. You guys are going into the heart of, zombie infestation. No, we had no idea what we was walking into. It was us learning organically that these weren't. It wasn't a drunk couple, which we assumed because that's what we were in a residential neighborhood. Why would we assume anything else?
Don't know a whole
and I can also give clues or take
there is a
tension
good
off
chance
by
that,
doing that.
those
Is
things are
by
supposed
describing it as a drunk couple right off the bat, you guys almost
So, like,
immediately ignored them
out of there.
Right.
Like double tap zombies.
because you as players also didn't know that we were walking into a zombie.
I say
Right.
zombies in so much as
that helped.
we don't know what the hell they are. but
Two
that's
things I'd
probably
say
a
about
good way
that
to
are
go. But at the end
first
of the
one
day,
is
you wanna get
that we don't
that and
metagame,
you wanna get
and I really like
there as
that.
soon as
Like we
possible,
don't,
and
we
let's
know,
do that.
we've read the comic, but or the three of you have read the comic, but we don't utilize that. Like we know what our characters know, and we act in the way that our characters would based on the information they know, and I think that actually really helps the story. The other thing is that I do like the little times where it's like, what? Well, this isn't the movies. This isn't a this isn't a comic book. Things don't work that way. I always find that hilarious. Like, and we hit that up a couple of times. I'm like,
the woman is still up on the part. She hasn't read.
but it is.
Sometimes I've had to check. So, Eric, as a soldier, would I know this, or would I know these vehicles? Because I know them, but would Hardman know what he's looking at?
We'll kind of simplify the effect because we've only got 20 minutes left, and I don't want to stop to look up rules. So, no worries.
And there that is that whole particular thing is that we got a scheduled date here. We're not going to sit down and crack the books for 20 minutes and try and come to an end for this. And we don't have Ryan here to tell us what the actual answer is. So, let's play fast and loose with 3 attacks so that what ended up being like a 4-minute scene did not end up being a 40-minute discussion. So that was appreciated as well.
So we're going to go.
And I think we end up doing that multiple times throughout the course of sessions where it's just one of those, you know what, let's just play it how we're going to play it here. We'll look over it later. And if we need to adjust it for future game sessions, we'll look at it then. But let's not waste our time because we only get so much time.
Right. And not to be kissing Eric's butt, he's sitting here, but that, to me, that's a sign of a good game master. Was
elemental damage or
tweak the rules as needed, because again, the story is more important than the rules. Overall, the rules are the things, but don't let it interfere with the story.
I know the framework of the rules. I don't know them inside and out. I haven't memorized any of the rule books, but I know what a medium difficulty is and what a high difficulty is, and it's easy once you are aware of that meta knowledge to just zoom in on a number and keep things moving. It doesn't really matter if it follows a specific wording on page 173. It's at the end of the day, you got to beat a 16 with this skill, and then you can do the thing.
But he goes down. He dies.
And one thing I want to say, as a tool that Renegade Game Studios has out there for GMs is the GM screen. I think those things should not just be for the GM. I think every player should have those because it has all that critical information, like how combat runs, what stats, like status effects are, things like that for your game session. So, like a lot of times, if I don't have it out on the desk, it's right next to me where I can grab that during our games and take a look at it if I need to look at it for a reference or something.
All of the stuff downloaded on the
I've got the game flash drive as a PDF on my phone. I've got that. I've got everything. I went through my bookmarks.
First thing I want to do is go into our
that way, if something comes up, I can pull it up.
With
easier to find
biological anomalies.
Scroll through the book.
Is this enough to scrub the mission, or do you want us?
I just try to do things, and then people will tell me that I can't.
I'm for doing the mission.
Do that?
Charles is working on the I will just ask for permission later, or I'll ask for forgiveness later.
No, people are pretty good about saying, no, you can't do that, or no, you have to have this skill or something. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll do it this way then. Like I work from my position of ignorance and don't let it spoil my ability to move forward.
Right here. All right, hang on.
And it's not really that hard of a. There are some elements that are there that are a little more challenging to learn than others. But as a game system, it's pretty forgiving. for the different pieces. And now that Matt
Ryan's
Ryan's not here, I can say I don't love the way that the books are laid out sometimes because they're very tough. It's very tough to get to a summary point of view. Like I've got no patience anymore to look things up. There's PDFs though which you can search, so it's not so bad. But some of the way that it's laid out, you have to read a whole lot of stuff that before you can actually get to a character build. And that was a bit challenging for me, but since I've gotten through that kind of first hurdle, the second character took no time to build. After the first character took quite a long time to build, and trying to find the various different pieces now has become a lot easier and a lot more organic now that I've actually done it once. So
that means you got a main action, move action, and you have 4 free actions. So yeah, switching weapons should be a problem.
So I'm going to ask about this one now because we just heard it. So how are free actions determined? Like, is that something that's a class skill, or is that something based on like one of your stats, or what is that?
Yeah, it's good enough. So
if you have a 1 speed, you get a main action. If you have a 2 speed, you get a main action and a move action. If you have a 3 speed, you get a main action, a move action, and a free action. Every point in speed above a 3 is all free action. So if your speed is a 12. You have a main action, a move action, and like 8 free actions.
Which do not.
And what are free actions for exactly?
Fatal wounding.
I just learned this like a month ago that you can burn a free action to give yourself an extra 5 feet of movement. You can aim, you can assist others, you can draw a holster a weapon, you can speak dialogue. I really don't get into that. Or should there's a lot of uses for free actions, and since supplemental books have come out, they've done a good job filling in kind of the holes that the core book doesn't really cover.
Last night, and if this is,
I feel like there's something really so not for a character that has not shown up, and I'm not even going to talk about him that much. Does have an 11 speed, so I'm feeling like maybe that's something I should really acquaint myself with a little bit better.
If you paid attention, I was burning that stuff with Mongoose the last game session. Remember, I was in our last game session. I was using the free to get the speed to get in to close the gap.
Yeah, that's I found out about burning the free actions for 5 feet of movement like the day before that episode.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a phone number.
Which was convenient because you knew it when I pulled it up to use it. You already had that knowledge. So
please do not
just page 192 of the book, Charles. It gives you examples of free actions.
So the priority is to find
book 192.
If it came from him, then we'll
use an idea of free actions. Or using a simple item, aiming, pushing yourself, safely pulling a weapon right away.
Understood.
Passcode, things like that. There's a whole list of examples, free items or free actions.
I feel like I've unlocked some sort of power level by asking that question.
He feels like he just got an upgrade. He just got leveled up now, and he hasn't even gotten a level.
That is the least of our problems right now. Let's grab it up there and get out of here. Everything else will be taken care of.
I'm gonna message just our team and not Beachhead. Y'all are gonna get us killed. Have you not seen the movies? They're gonna drop a bomb on us.
I love that reference too.
Is not here, so the only other place we know he may be is at his office. So let's get to moving.
Yep, I'm gonna start double teaming down the street.
Yeah, might as well at this point follow along with them. Are we gonna try and stay in formation, or is it everyone just hauling ass as quickly as they can?
I say we stay in formation. We go Hardman, myself, probably Copper.
I'm taking center.
You in the center? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll put Copper in the center with you, and then I'll take the tail.
Okay. Let's move, folks.
I'm the only other really big gun besides Hardman right now.
All right, let's make this happen. Everyone, formation down the road. Let's get to the office.
Headed south.
See, that could have been a dithering moment and wasn't.
Yeah.
And Josh, jumped in because that was, figuring out that was not a classified thing. That was definitely a Reaper thing. And so Reaper came in, gave the knowledge that was needed, and we moved on. That is what makes this A, clean to listen to, and B, that's where you can see them starting to really become effective, being good at what they do. And I really enjoy hearing that.
Yeah, and one thing I got to say is, as Classified and Reaper work together, we really start gelling. Like we start running, like we drop in and off as basically team leader at different times, and it's on the fly. Classified will make a call, and then as soon as it kicks over to a combat situation, Reaper's making a call, and then Hardman's making a call if he sees something that we didn't get, and then Scaffold's making a call, you know, and it's
that's
just
exactly how G.I. Joe is supposed to work in all of the media.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that none of us are like, oh, well, I'm the leader. You got to listen to what I say. You know, it's one of those, oh, shit, we're all in this together and we got to work together to get out of this together.
We all realize that we all have our own specialties, if you will. And yeah, someone's got a specialty. Listen to them. There's a reason they got a specialty in it.
Yeah, there's a reason when someone gets shot, it's not Classified trying to patch them up.
Yeah,
that would go very badly. At later points, I might be able to convince yourself you're not quite as hurt as you think you are, but certainly not patch you up. And the only exception to this, of course, was Hardman, because everyone liked Hardman right off the bat. So, and I think that might be an Aaron thing as much as a Hardman thing, but it was just like, this guy, he knows what he's about, he's there, and there's nothing to dislike about him. So it was nice to have at least one of those characters. So that
on the Headcast Network.
Well, see, and like part of the thing I was doing with Reaper's supposed to be kind of gruff. He's supposed to be a little crass. He's supposed to be almost kind of beachheady in his mentality, but not beachhead.
Right. I had a panic there. I'm like, how can it be 10 o'clock in the morning already? No, 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it takes out cuts whatever at the very end of it.
So yeah, I would point out that there are after credit scenes. So, listen to that music and then hold on, because there are a few minutes of conversation. Sometimes they're the funniest bits that hit the cutting room floor.
Gameplay, but you know what? I think people want to hear this. I don't want to slow the game down. Listen to the game down. They hear at the end that way.
That does sound like
entertaining content.
Right.
This is kind of the warm-up session, and you're already.
And honestly, the editing is flawless. I don't know what you took out of it, because it doesn't feel like there's anywhere where stuff got taken out. So
we had to step away or something.
Loving this.
It's like for over 3 hours, and this episode's like a couple of minutes. So something got chopped. Yeah, good job.
Our game sessions last 3 hours normally, and
the acquisition phase.
So far the episodes are anywhere between an hour and a half to 2 hours usually. And I get done pulling out the silences, and
I don't really even
Erik,
we're looking at stuff or the
This is going to be a fairly highly.
So if you're ever, if anyone ever slags Aaron for saying, we got to get these things out faster, just recognize how much effort it takes to make us sound competent. That is a huge thing. I love the person that, I was listening to in this session. I am not entirely sure that's the person that I am while I'm playing.
Yeah, I can listen to this better than I can just yeah. And one of the things is I absolutely hate hearing my voice on the playback. I despise it. But I could sit down and listen to this, and I'm like, yeah, I know that's me, but I don't care because this is fun and it's a great story, and I'm getting to go through it again.
Yeah, I enjoy editing these because I get to re-listen to it and get the excitement everything we went through, and I have to worry about what I'm going to do next.
I guess, Aaron, anything you wanted to? You're the host of this thing. Anything that you wanted to talk about as we're kind of? It looks like we're about to wrap up.
This episode's not over. I enjoy playing with you guys. I'm glad we're able to switch days so I can keep playing.
See you. You're all.
Glad you guys are enjoying the first episode of the podcast.
Is absent tonight, so he's going to be out scouting or doing something supportive.
Working on support right now. I'm getting it
everyone
cleaned up.
Together. You can see two masses
podcasts of life.
The veil
thank you for doing this. I've never been a part of a podcast before the first campaign, and it's been an amazing, fun experience. And
there's the
I have an addiction, so this helps the moaning and stuff. Addiction, so.
And
I tell you what, man, thanks for doing this. This is a lot of fun. Eric, definitely thanks for being our GM, bringing this group together. It's awesome to be able to have this podcast that I can now take and share with some of my friends who I've been telling about this game, and they're like, "Oh, that sounds cool." Now you guys can get the experience to cool.
And what I may do is just take this direct audio that we did today and just release on Christmas Day as a bonus.
Kind of wandering around
The podcast
awesome.
listen to it.
Whatever.
You really did see on here just us talking, releases podcast episodes just as like a bonus on Christmas Day if I get it.
So we know if it's going to be released, and Aaron gets to do his self-promotion at the end of it, because you're very good about not missing that. But Erik is way too shy to re-mention the fact that he's on, what's the platform that you're on? Start playing. So this is literally like, if you like what you've seen, you can have this experience.
You guys a chance, yeah. So yeah, if you guys.
If we were up on top of
My Transformers game is up and running. The G.I. Joe game only has one player so far, so it's going to happen.
So there's your Christmas present to yourself, if this is coming out on Christmas Day, is that you can actually have Erik as your GM and actually live the adventure at home, which was a subtle reference to something that I don't even remember what it is, but it just popped in my head that I've seen that. But yeah, I mean, you can live this adventure because this is, this is something that you could do too. And I hope that you do, because you'd have as much fun as we're obviously having on this.
Oh, the doctor's office is not
so
the
dentist's office. Else you guys are working on, or anything you guys want to promote?
Okay, so it'd be the lawyer to the dentist's office.
Start playing.
Well, it's not quite as bad because all the
Start
locals
playing.
are.
My name's Rick here on the platform. A picture of my face. I'm hard to miss.
Does it look like there's any way to reasonably get
variety games? G.I. Joe, Transformers,
or anyone other
Root,
than Scaffold?
I can get myself to the top.
The One Ring,
I can lay down a rope and help you all
a small
climb.
smattering of others.
But Jetpack's loud
Phone number
and
showing across the bottom of the screen.
Well, I'm
That's
afraid
not
jetpack. It's going to.
And well, I don't have anything to promote. I will, because Ryan's not here. Ryan's got a whole network called the No Direction Network. I hope I'm quoting that correctly, and if I got it wrong, then I'm sure that Aaron will correct me and put a link to it in the comments of whatever this gets put out for. But amazing. You will learn more about RPGs and game playing and G.I. Joe and everything else that if you're watching this, you're probably interested in on that. It's my only challenge with it is there's so much content I can never possibly catch up with all of it. But there are very productive people in this room who are doing a lot of very good things. I'm not one of them, but it does allow me to spend a little bit more time engaging with the brilliant things that you all are putting together. So
we can get to the hardware store. We can get to the dentist.
And then I just got some games I'm running on the side on my Discord server. I'm probably going to be recording the one that we're going to be doing with Erik and a couple other guys. I'm still looking for a couple more players for that. So if you're interested, reach out. I can probably get Aaron some of my contact information so you guys can get a hold of me, and you can get a hold of me if you're interested in joining a game. There's no really set time for that game right yet. The time frame is we're going to start sometime in January. We're going to get past the holidays, and then we will kick into getting that game up and off the ground. And it will be a G.I. Joe Transformer crossover as well. And it's going to be very Dreadnought heavy.
But given
So,
today's
Lamartu mentioned Lamatar. I should be able to freaking say this. I'm Canadian. Lamartu has just mentioned Ryan makes the G.I. Joe character builds on No Direction. He's been doing it for since even before there was a G.I. Joe book. So it's if you want to get some ideas of what really can be built and things that are really interesting to build, No Direction has a whole section of it, and there's a show. And Ryan's gonna, hit me with a fish or something, throw some poutine in my face for forgetting what the specific show is, but there is one that's dedicated to the Essence 20 material, so that's really good. I have to catch up on that. Maybe that's what I'll do after this one.
Or they could be.
If you go to my website, headcast.headspeaks.com, there's a section for co-hosts and guests.
Quite possibly.
Click on that. Go down a little bit. There's a section for the
everyone knows
Energon Chronicles.
So
right now, I've got a link to Erik. Start playing
personal experience
on there.
nor have you heard.
You guys want to send
of
any other
anyone
links you guys have for anything you guys want promoted or
However, what I
way to
want to point
contact
out
us
is that
also?
one that is the fact that there are
Emails or anything else that you feel someone to contact you, I can get hold of you.
around,
Send that information to me.
based on
I can throw that in
movies
there
and
also.
books that you may have read, like World War
And
Z.
again, guys,
or
thank you guys
Walking
very
Dead.
much for making this
If it's not
possible. Because like I said, if it
in
wasn't for you
here,
guys, I couldn't be doing this. So,
probably bad.
especially thanks to Eric
I'm less
for
worried about that.
everything he's done.
In place for the locals here.
Okay.
It's
And-
more.
Yeah, it's called Scorched
Yeah,
Earth.
and
Well, and I expect that anytime
Mark Diff in
within
the chat says, yeah, same thing, right? Makes the G.I. Joe character builds on
we're
no
gonna
direction.
probably be dealing with something like that. In the interim, we have a
It
specific
also
mission
said,
to do. If we can
Mark
find
goes to
somebody who knows how this happened, then we're in good shape to be able to stop.
and again,
it from
like I say, if you
happening
guys like what you're
elsewhere,
hearing,
because we can't. It would be very foolish for
when
us
you leave
to
comments, you
assume
can call.
that this would be
I have a
the only
voicemail
place
set
where
up.
this research is taking
Take
place.
559
Well,
500
I can say this.
182.
I'm a solid shooter.
Voicemail, I
but
can
I'm
play it on
also
the air.
medic. I'm up
Or you
on
can
the
send me an
hardware,
email to GIJoe
trying to
at
snipe
speaks.com.
things. I'm also not going to be in a
And check
position
out all
to
other
get
shows
anything
on,
if they go down.
like I said, it's Headcast.
And I
at
do have guns and a
speaks.com.
shield.
I have links to
so
all my
I'm good at
shows.
All right.
The main
well,
one I'm promoting right now is the G.I. Joe
Are you
cast,
feeling
which is part
stealthy
of.
enough to get across that street
Again,
without drawing
monthly
too
we
much
talk about
attention?
G.I. Joe
Yes.
comic and
We
cartoon.
have a very excellent
Bravo team, which is part of that, which right now we're talking about special missions.
distraction headed,
And when I get
headed
to
out of
spare time,
town,
I'm just
headed
order,
down the street.
order a battle talk in there
Start with
also.
the distraction, or we can
Much
see if
going
we
on.
need a
So,
distraction and then.
well, I guess we're going to end this. So unless you guys have anything else to
Stealth
say.
is not my strong point, but I can try.
Yeah,
Well, Zach, with all his interim stuff, he puts out a lot of good stuff.
All
Well,
right.
thank you.
Well, Scaffold, how are you feeling about starting with the distraction?
Okay, now, sure if you guys want to hang out.
Away.
Great about it.
All right. It does seem to be what you do.
What is the
really well.
are we into the next episode now?
Let's give you
I
a
think
chance
I
to
think
do
the
that.
next episode started playing. Do you want to go ahead and pause that air?
There, it's removed. I wasn't sure if that was still. I wasn't sure if that was still outtakes.
Yeah, there's a preview in there
I
of
think-
the next one.
Oh, is that
because,
what that was?
Well, I heard Ryan's voice.
Yeah.
And that was the immediate indicator to me
You can
that we
come
had
back
kind of
to us
gone.
at the top of the dentist office.
Yeah, it started playing the next episode. It looks like.
So
Okay.
if you are, your Christmas present, if you're watching this now, so you get a little bit of a preview with us all talking over it of what's to come. So, but yeah, I hope everyone listening to it enjoys as much as we do playing it.
And I'm going to end it there. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you. Was it Dave? It was in the chat. We appreciate your comments and thank you for joining us. And we're going to end the show now. Have a good day, everybody. And by the way, if you're watching this, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and whatever else you may celebrate. Okay. Have a good day.
Yo, Joe.